Princess Artemis was very happy about the appearance of food, namely the lump of dirt that she held in her hand. The girl did not understand why Pluto did not eat. Hercules, nicknamed the muscular tyrant, suggested to His Highness that he would rather eat it. The girl immediately protested. She was now in the role of mummy, not princess. Besides, Pluto was acting as her father. Artemis asked her daddy to hurry up and give him some food. Pluto, nicknamed the bloody tyrant, took the lump of dirt she offered him, surprising everyone present, and pretended to enjoy the food. Pluto thanked them for the food. Everyone around them could hardly contain their laughter, for they would be killed if they laughed out loud. Artemis noted that the boy hadn't even taken a bite. She pointed out that the lumps were still lying next to him. Endymion, nicknamed the sexual tyrant, appeared and called Pluto an ignorant idiot, and noted that he should eat what Her Highness offered, even if it was just a lump of dirt. Endymion asked the princess to give it to him, promising to eat the whole thing instead of this ignorant idiot. Artemis assured her that she would make one for him next time. The girl wouldn't be able to banter with this guy if he actually ate it. Andy sighed heavily, noting that His Highness had promised. The boy remarked not to let the madman be so disappointed about not being able to eat a lump of dirt. Suddenly, a voice was heard, informing that these foolish people were unable to fulfill Her Majesty's expectations. Myth, nicknamed the lovable tyrant, immediately popped the lump into his mouth, giving it 50 points. But he noted that the soil in their Asteria Empire needed better care. The guys were shocked at what was happening. One of them asked if the dragons had stomach problems. Endymion said that it was unfair and that the sneaky serpent was defaming their kind. Let's grab a lump, Endymion decided, so he'd eat it if he had to. Artemis rushed to stop him, telling him that he was dirty. Pluto was surprised that the girl was trying to feed him dirt. Artemis immediately smiled charmingly. She wanted to play a joke on the guy and then pretend to be innocent. Artemis had trained them pretty hard all these days, but Pluto was a real demon. One wrong move and she could have been killed. Artemis decided she'd never slip him one of those again. Artemis immediately remarked to Daddy how pretty the flower was here. The boy noted that Her Highness was good at changing topics. The girl returned a few moments later, slipping Pluto a flower by his ear. It was a present for her daddy. Pluto noted that the girl was the queen's daughter. He hoped she would do well with that title. Artemis noted that the guy was acting stern, but his gaze softened. Her name was actually Jung Jahi, and she was 28 years old. The girl woke up and found herself in the body of a princess after dying from overexertion. On top of that, the girl was reborn as a princess with 4 ruthless fathers. The guy pointed out that Myth would have stomach problems if he kept eating it, but he only asked the princess how he did. A week ago, the girl was rejoicing that after all the sleepless nights throughout the week, she had finally finished her theory of supersymmetric rebirth before she dropped dead. That's how her life in her own room ended. As everyone realized by now, Jung Jahi was a genius. In her past life, she was a researcher studying the theory of supersymmetric rebirth, which she herself created. In her past life, the girl was a great fan of fantasy novels, so she started a research to prove that fantasy worlds existed. The result was her theory, which was that after death, people would continue to be reborn into other dimensions. It's hard to believe, but somewhere there really could be other worlds with living dragons and magic. According to her theory, typical fantasy worlds are created by our hidden memories from past lives. The girl's colleagues supported her wholeheartedly. It looked like they were looking at her with understanding, or it was just her imagination. And so after 8 years of long, hard research, the girl finally found proof that other dimensions existed. That was the summary of Jung Jahi's life. The girl couldn't deny that she finally felt like life was getting better. Besides, she had been lonely for as long as she could remember, so she asked to be surrounded by handsome men in her next life. When the girl woke up, she was reborn as a princess, and what's more, a princess who, according to the novel, must die at the age of 12. The girl realized that she should have asked for something else instead of attractive men. Having handsome men as her fathers was useless, as she had never had a partner. Eyes the color of the night sky that sparkled like diamonds, clear, fair skin like a porcelain doll, and soft, fluffy silver hair like a sheep's wool. She fit the description of Princess Artemis, also known as Princess Luna. The girl was thrilled to be reborn as a princess from a novella who was destined to live a short life. She rejoiced that she had created a theory of supersymmetric rebirth, but immediately despaired after realizing it. The maid who entered, who had previously had a joyful smile shining on her face, immediately became agitated when she saw the desperate princess on the floor. The girl did not understand what had happened to Her Majesty. The maid reported that she was so looking forward to the princess's 7th birthday. The girl couldn't believe it was real. This was the very situation after which Princess Luna first appeared. The girl didn't understand why she couldn't be reborn in a story with a harem and a happy ending instead. She screwed up even in the rebirth. The girl realized that now was not the time to get emotional. In the original story, it all started after the princess got it at her 7th birthday banquet, and then passed away at the age of 12 during the invasion of Britain. That's what you'd expect from the creator of the supersymmetric rebirth theory. It's not like she even thought this is a dream and she needs to wake up. But how did she get reborn into the world of the novel she was reading? The maid finished and enthusiastically asked Her Majesty to look at herself in the mirror. She said that the princess was very pretty, and once she put on the dress, she would outshine even Athena. The maid decided that the girl should be fascinated by her own reflection because, after all, she was still a child. Jung Jiha was amazed when she saw herself without blue circles under her eyes. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. The maid thought that the maid who was supposed to bring the dresses had already arrived. When she opened the door, she saw the Imperial Knight of Pluto, Leo Cleon, asking for an audience. Seeing the guy, the girl suddenly remembered the description from the story. Dirty brown hair that seemed to encapsulate all the darkness of the night sky, skin as white as unnaturally white pottery, and gray-blue eyes that reflected nothing. Like a cold ice crystal, Pluto has blood on his beautiful hands. He is the best assassin, the queen's loyal servant, and a demon on the battlefield. The maid didn't understand what had happened to Her Majesty so suddenly. The princess's escort to Gadona's residence would arrive in 2 hours, but Chancellor Eugene had ordered her to come and check on things. The maid assured that she would help the princess prepare for this moment. The girl realized that, true, regardless of his origin, he would mercilessly kill anyone, for he was the darkness of the empire. He could also be the father of Princess Artemis. The girl noted that the chatty maids had quieted down as well. As expected, the darkness of the empire instills fear in everyone. The maids declared that now that they had met Sir Pluto in person, they could die without regrets. He is indeed the most attractive man in the kingdom, nay, in the whole world. One of the maids pointed out that they couldn't cross paths with him. After all, this handsome prince was a demon on the battlefield. Another told her to be quiet if she cared about her life. He's trained in aura manipulation, so he can hear everything within a 2-kilometer radius. The girl decided it was a problem. Pluto, one of the main characters, finally showed up. As expected, everything happened exactly as in the original story. The girl had so many questions, but she decided to put them aside for later. Jung Jahi was used to accepting unacceptable situations. Right now, she had one thing to think about: how to escape before she was killed, according to the original story. The maids asked worriedly what had happened. The princess smiled and said that she was grateful to Ira and Vita for making her look so nice. The maids thought she had an angelic heart. The girl suggested that the maids join her and celebrate her birthday together. The maids explained that only members of the royal family and aristocrats could attend the banquet. By tradition, the maids were forbidden to attend. Grudgingly, the princess said that she wanted to celebrate with Ira and Vita. Then she offered to dress up even if they couldn't go to the party. They would celebrate the princess's birthday themselves. Ira noted that it would be an honor, but the princess's clothes were too small for them. Vita hugged the girl before she even realized it. The princess stated that they could try on her mother's dresses. After all, Queen Athena is in paradise, so no one wears them anyway. The girl noted that her pronunciation was terrible from being a child. The girls replied that they would not dare to wear the queen's clothes. The princess decided that they could try on the dresses and then quickly take them off. The girl realized that they would not fall into her trap so easily. She had to use it to escape immediately. At the age of almost 30, she really wouldn't have wanted to do such a thing, but squirming pitifully, the girl managed to squeeze out a tear. Ira immediately said they could do it. Vita pointed out that the girl shouldn't spoil the princess. Artemis assured her that if anyone said a word, she'd throw them out as rebels. Vita recognized that oppressive, cruel side just like Queen Athena's. Artemis didn't quite realize whether that was an insult or a compliment. When the maids had changed their clothes, they thanked the princess happily. They thought the dresses inherited from the queen were beautiful every time they saw them in Her Majesty's room. The princess confessed that they are both so beautiful. The girls confessed that they are so happy they are about to pass out, because when else will they get to try on the queen's dresses? As a precautionary measure, these clothes cannot be worn by people other than those with royal blood flowing in them, otherwise they will faint. The princess asked the girls not to hold a grudge against her. The girl was sorry, but she had to say goodbye to this place before she was killed, just like in the original story. Rummaging through her things, the princess shrieked with joy when she found what she needed. Quickly dashing from the bed to the dressing table, the girl found that, as expected, they were here. 2 items for an invisible escape, just like in the original novel. These 2 items are ordinary and have no special powers, but after the girl ties the ribbon on the brooch, it will glow brightly in the moonlight. Lady Puterm's ribbon turns a child into an adult, only changes women, and Fontas's brooch blocks people's perception, makes whoever wears it invisible, but is cancelled if you are caught. They are a secret weapon that Princess Luna often uses when she escapes from the palace. It even has a code algorithm as its seal, so they can only be used when the seal is broken in a certain way. The girl was glad that she remembered the story of the novel in detail. Even though the girl was orphaned because of that incident, she could not remember anything because of the shock, but she never forgot anything she had seen once. The girl had a remarkable memory. The girl decided that becoming a maid was the perfect disguise. She apologized to Vita for borrowing her clothes. In the midst of this, the girl packed a lot of money into her suitcase. She believed that it was impossible to get rid of the spirit of poverty, even if she was reborn. The girl froze when she saw Pluto with a bloody sword in the corridor. A man lying in a pool of blood muttered that he, the king's dog, had already lost his master. That woman Athena is dead. In any case, Asteria will be destroyed by them, by Britain. Surprised that his mouth was still yapping, Pluto swung the blade into the man's neck. The princess immediately covered her mouth with her hands to keep from screaming. She was frightened that he had killed someone. In the original novel, Princess Luna heard the news that a British spy had been murdered. She didn't realize that the one who did it was Pluto. The girl decided that if he found out she was trying to escape, he would kill her too. Pluto asked menacingly who was there. The man pointed out that everyone knew it was pointless to hide their presence in front of him. He ordered to come out if he didn't want to die. Seeing the girl, Pluto was surprised. He had never seen a maid like her before. The girl said that today she would enter the courtyard as a court lady and introduced herself as Hainia. The girl greeted the Knight of the Empire, Sir Pluto Leo Cleon. According to the original novel, there was a time when a large number of new maids, recruited by Chancellor Eugene, entered the palace, so the girl deliberately disguised herself as a maid. Pluto might find out the truth, he thought. The girl was suspicious. The man noted that the maid had a strange time choice. Pluto first said that the girl could go, but then changed his mind and asked her to open her suitcase. The girl was frightened. She replied that it was just a humble servant's underwear that might smell bad. Pluto pointed out that he didn't like to be told twice. The girl had no choice but to obey. If he found out what was in her suitcase, the girl would die. If she didn't show him, he would suspect her and kill her. The girl realized that she had twisted her fate, only for it all to be in vain. She had hastened her death before she was 12. No sooner had the girl opened the suitcase than a servant ran up and called for Sir Commander of the Knights. He informed her that the Chancellor was looking for him. It was related to the princess's birthday celebration, so the commander was asked to come right away. Pluto replied that he would check on that maid first and come right over. The man remarked that this was too much. Just how many maids had he made cry today? Dozens of maids wanted to leave because of the commander. The man noted the commander's suspicious disorder. He only now noticed the corpse lying nearby, becoming very frightened. Pluto noted that it was a British spy and asked him to take care of it. Pluto turned to Hainia to say that they would meet later, but she had already disappeared. The poor servant admitted that he was afraid of corpses and didn't understand why the burden always fell on him. Pluto had sensed her presence when he killed the spy. When you think of it that way, this maid was able to speak casually, even after witnessing such a scene. She found the girl very suspicious. The girl decided that no matter how greedy she was, taking a suitcase with her was a mistake. But if a woman wanted to survive on her own, she should have at least that much money. Hearing the melody, the girl stopped abruptly. She walked towards a nearby building, peering through a small gap in the door, from which light was pouring in. Looking inside, the girl couldn't believe her eyes. In the center of the room, illuminated by soft light, stood a guy. The girl was surprised when she noticed that the stranger beckoned to her. She took a hesitant step forward. Now the girl could understand it. It was the same aura gate she'd read about in the novel. It looked even more incredible up close. The guy asked her what her name was. His hair is like the light of the moon, shining brightest in the dim lightning. Violet eyes shine like the most beautiful amethysts. Blushing, his cheeks faintly resemble peaches, and his skin is as light as porcelain. The girl noted that he looked like a fairy. It was Endymion Bellium Hebelius. He is an important character in the original story. Bowing in a bow, the girl greeted the flower of the empire, Sir Endymion Bellium Hebelius. The guy grinned cheerfully and asked if the girl wanted him to dance for her. Andy thought that the girl was secretly peeping on purpose to see something. Jiha immediately started to justify that she wasn't peeping at all. The guy cheerfully inquired what she was looking for here then. The girl couldn't answer that she was just curious to see what he looked like, since he was the main character of the novel. What the girl saw turned out to be reality. The scene she had longed to see in the novella, the dance that Princess Artemis had seen at her birthday party and cried without even realizing. It was a very touching scene, even if the girl only got to read it. She really wanted to see him, if only in her dreams. The boy touched the girl's head casually, pulling off the ribbon. The princess was herself again. Endymion realized that it was the same magical item from the rumors. He had heard about it from the princess before, but it still amazed him to see it with his own eyes. Jiha didn't understand how he had guessed. Gently tying the ribbon around the girl's wrist, Endymion informed her that the Artemis dance was a secret between him and the princess. Guy greeted the Empire's little moon, Princess Diana Stella Asteria. Diana also means Artemis. Asteria is the name of the Empire. Only direct descendants of the imperial family can use Asteria as a family name. The girl suddenly realized that it turns out that apart from Princess Luna, no one else knew about the Artemis dance. Besides, she didn't understand when it was the girl who talked about magic items. Suddenly, a rough voice inquired when it was the royal family that had paired up with a prostitute. The girl was startled to see Pluto. He said that the polite maid was suspicious, so he followed her, and now he could not believe his eyes. The girl decided she needed to calm down. Besides, she's a princess after all. She just ran away to keep herself alive. There was no way Pluto was going to kill her. The girl was startled when Pluto drew his sword from its sheath. She covered her eyes in fear, bracing herself for the impact. But moments passed and nothing happened. The girl didn't understand why it didn't hurt. When the princess opened her eyes, she saw the blade resting on Endymion's shoulder, Pluto looming over her. He wondered how dare such a filthy rat steal the back of the princess's palm. Pressing the blade to his throat, Andy recognized that if kissing the back of the princess's palm to a man of low birth like him was an insult, he would pay with his life. The girl was very frightened for Endymion, for Pluto could really cut off his head. She stubbornly forced herself to think of what to do. The girl hoped to think of something, but her brain refused to cooperate, so she just cried. The girl realized that she was a dead man. Now Pluto would chop off 2 heads. Noticing the tears in the princess's eyes, the commander was very surprised. The boys were distracted by an unfamiliar voice calling Princess Luna. The boy reported that they were nowhere to be found, so he went in search of them. He was so surprised when he heard the voice of the princess. Noticing the pink hair and one eye, the girl recognized who it was. Pluto also recognized the princess's night escort, Cupid Temis Mnemosyne. He didn't understand why this guy was here instead of guarding Gasonia. The girl decided that this was her chance. Throwing herself into Cupid's arms, the girl immediately started whining that Pluto was scary to the princess. Pluto once again wondered why the rascal was here. The boy replied that the patrol had ended earlier than expected. Pluto ordered, since he was done with business, to let it go and get out of here. Cupid didn't understand what he was talking about at first, but then realized that the man was referring to the princess. Pluto added that he didn't like repeating himself twice. The girl was at first offended that Pluto thought she was an inanimate object, but then she realized that judging by the man's behavior now, he was very angry that she was trying to escape. She's a princess, and Pluto is only a knight commander, so why is he so rude to her? Even if his position is lower, the Knight Commander actually comes right after the Emperor. Because Asteria was an empire built on conquest, and he is a loyal dog who would eat even dirt at the first word of the despotic Queen Athena. Athena was an emperor, so she too became a king when she ascended the throne. However, she was usually called Queen. Guy suddenly remembered that Chancellor Eugene had recently looked for Pluto, and remarked that he should meet him sooner. Since Sir Cupid had returned, Mr. Pluto was no longer needed here. Cupid noted that he was the princess's knight escort, and asked Pluto if there was any good reason why he should take her away. The man assured the fool that there was. However, he never named anything. Amour noted that if there was no good reason, I think he'll bow out. The girl admitted that she liked Cupid. She even asked him to take her suitcase with him. Glancing at the man, Endymion wondered what that murderous look was all about. Pluto was the strongest knight who had never lost before. The boy figured this was his first defeat. Endymion liked that he had dealt Pluto a blow, but he didn't understand why he didn't feel satisfied. He felt like he was missing something. Pluto remembered that even after she saw the murder scene, the maid had acted as usual, but it turned out to be Princess Artemis. He decided that perhaps she was the strongest demon, surpassing even him. Besides, Artemis is the daughter of an oppressive queen. Maybe her fearlessness is similar to Pluto, the demon on the battlefield. Andy didn't understand what the man was muttering to himself. Endymion wondered to Lord Pluto why he had such a frown. He decided that the man also thought that Princess Luna might be his daughter. Pluto clarified what he meant by, "I think so too." Andy confessed that he considers Princess Luna his own daughter. Even though he dresses like a prostitute, he is still one of Her Majesty's foursome. Pluto noted that the guy was so arrogant for a common prostitute. Andy wondered if the man thought the princess would be angry if she knew he was treating her like his daughter. Pluto immediately grabbed his sword. Endymion decided that, as expected, his words were true, which was why the man reacted as he did. Pluto immediately rushed to assure that it wasn't true. Cupid's left eye was injured, not his right. The girl noted that it seemed to her that the path did not lead to her chambers. Cupid replied that he wanted to take the princess to a better place. The princess immediately started whimpering and begging to be let go, but the guy ordered her to keep quiet if she didn't want to die. The girl confessed to the bloody scoundrel that she had already guessed everything and put the brooch around his neck. The man didn't understand how he had been deduced. The princess noted that he should have got better information, for Cupid had a damaged eye on the other side. The wounded eye was on the opposite side, and the girl noted it immediately. She also added that Cupid often carried the princess in his arms out of habit, but it was still suspicious that he continued to carry her when he could have let her go long ago. Now that Princess Luna had been kidnapped by a British spy, the girl could escape and no one would know. That was the only reason she allowed herself to be kidnapped. She wanted to use that bastard as bait. The man didn't understand what "no one will know" meant. The girl pointed out that he didn't need to know that and reminded him that she had a flair. She was fine, except for her pronunciation. A magic brooch that can change its appearance was a cunning item used by the former Revolutionary Army. It has a distraction function that can be used on the enemy when the owner of the brooch is caught. The girl had no intentions of killing him, however. She scared him enough that he started to listen to her. The man thought the princess had gone mad and didn't understand how she had even come to such a thing. The man decided that the girl was a genius. He didn't understand why Britain hadn't told him that the princess here was a genius. He thought it might be a betrayal. Its absurdity bothered the girl a little. What bothered the girl even more was how quickly she was able to adapt to this world. A defenseless orphan. The only rule she'd had in her life before was that if you didn't adapt quickly, you wouldn't survive. The princess announced that she had read the spell and the brooch would explode right with the man's face and then shatter into pieces along with him. The girl decided that her adaptation skill was finally bearing fruit. The princess was surprised to see Endymion rushing after them. The man immediately grabbed the girl and put the knife to her throat. He warned that if the boy made a move, he would kill her. The man noted that the guy couldn't even move because of this nasty little girl. He hated the very fact that she was a genius. The girl didn't understand how in an instant he had pulled out a dagger before she realized it. The man thought about what order to give Endymion first. He liked exhausted men, so he ordered him to kneel down first. The boy obeyed immediately. The man laughed merrily at this performance and asked if the lad had not a shred of dignity. Endymion replied that compared to the princess, he was just a man of no value. The boy remarked that if he could save the princess's life by kneeling or sacrificing his own life, he would gladly do so. The girl felt tears come to her eyes. Endymion Bellium Hibelius was the second father to Princess Luna. Lady Puterm's ribbon was originally a toy for aristocratic children. It has the opposite function of Phantus's brooch, namely a strong shield. The man remarked that he really feels like messing around when he sees such submissive people. If the girl uses the shield and the bomb at the same time, the spy will die, and she will also be caught. She wanted to be presumed dead, then no one would find out. But at this distance, Endymion is also... The girl ordered herself to pull herself together. He's just a character from a novel, after all. The situation is different from last time, so if she doesn't use the bomb now... Suddenly, the man threw the knife into the ground in front of the guy. He pointed out that, after all, he had already been paid for the job. He decided that if the guy showed him something interesting, he might as well give their feisty princess away. Taking the knife, Endymion smiled affectionately. The girl thought it couldn't be. But now the guy took a stronger grip on the weapon and sharply put it into his eye. The princess cried out in horror. The princess closed her eyes to avoid the horror when suddenly she felt a gentle touch. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in Pluto's arms. Pluto pointed out that this was very foolish. He knew from the beginning that the man wanted to take the princess hostage. That's why he pretended to attack the guy. It was about the very moment when Putin had put the sword to Endymion's neck. The girl couldn't believe that the man was working together with someone he didn't like and using such a cunning plan. A cluster of flowers blooming on the battlefield. A beautiful but bloody and ruthless gifted demon. The girl suddenly remembered the description from the novella. She didn't want to admit it, but Pluto wasn't called a battlefield demon for nothing. Andy noted that because someone was almost late, he had almost become a one-eyed man. The girl was glad to see them working together. She hoped that maybe they could get along eventually. Maybe it would make their relationship that much better. The girl realized that wasn't going to happen when Pluto pointed out that she should have come later. The man immediately asked the princess excitedly if she was hurt, noticing her arm. The girl noted that the wound was left after the bastard had fallen and scratched her with his nails. Pluto declared that he would cut the man's arm off. The princess decided that the guy was crazy. It was just a small cut after all. Pluto declared that the bastard would regret what he had done. The girl remembered that she was from 21st century Korea. Even if this man tried to hurt her, she couldn't let it happen. The princess clung to the man and asked Pluto not to do it. He ordered the man to repent for what he had done in the afterlife. The girl thought he was ignoring her. She couldn't think of anything better to do, so she hung around the man's neck. Tears came to her cheeks and she asked her daddy once again not to do it. Pluto ordered the prostitute to drag the man to jail. He promised he would decide what to do with him later. The girl couldn't believe that daddy had really worked on him, the demon on the battlefield. Endymion had tears in his eyes. He wanted to hold the princess too. The boy tied the man up with his own torn clothes. The girl didn't understand what the hell was going on right now. The girl glanced at Pluto. He had that cold, reserved expression on his face again. The girl thought that perhaps there had been a misunderstanding earlier. When the princess noticed the four-leaf clover, she immediately ordered him to let her go. The girl literally jumped out of the man's arms, heading for the plant. Pluto rushed after her. It was the same clover she had seen in her previous life. She was surprised that four-leaf clovers grew in this world, too. The girl remembered the man saying that the four-leaf clover symbolizes good luck. It appears when a three-leaf clover, having been trampled, continues to grow scarred. Luck would come when the girl was in pain. She couldn't remember who had said those words to her. She didn't remember, but one thing was clear. Luck comes out of pain. Her life in Korea, where she lived as a lonely orphan, had been horrible, and she had died when her life started to get better. The girl was convinced only that her theory of supersymmetric rebirth would work after death, but the terrible fate of dying at the age of 12. The girl had experienced a lot of pain, and she wanted to take a chance now that she could control her destiny. The princess asked Pluto to sit down and put the clover behind his ear. The girl has decided that she will definitely survive this time, and will use whatever it takes, even if she has to use a character from this novel. And that character is her father. Suddenly breaking free of his grip, the man pulled Endymion to the ground, hovering on top of him. He pointed out that this was very stupid, and if he hadn't sent that knight away, it wouldn't have happened. The man pointed out that he shouldn't have messed with his smarmy face to begin with. With a sharp blow, The boy asked if he'd ever heard of the Hiss tribe. It's a small group that inherited the blood of spirits. The guy said that they could strengthen their muscles by using them as weapons. Endymion reported that spirit blood possessors have violet eyes. It's an unnatural eye color. The guy noticed that his daughter had gotten a scratch on her arm earlier, so why don't they start with the arms? The princess informed Pluto that she could already walk on her own. The man replied that he couldn't settle down yet. The girl pointed out that he could relax. If everything went according to the original plot, there would be no more spies. If there were any other rats left, Pluto would cut them all up. The man said he had heard an interesting report the other day that said the curious little Empire Moon liked to dress up and run away. Pluto insisted that her guard be increased, but his request was denied because of the excessive suppression of the freedom of a member of the imperial family. He said he would write a request to the chancellor to cancel the birthday party. As for the 2 missing magic items, they would be found and destroyed. The girl was shocked. Her last chance to escape was planned at a birthday party. The princess immediately started whining that she didn't want to cancel the holiday party. Pluto apologized for that. The girl noted that it wasn't the facial expression of someone who was truly sorry. The princess added that Luna's vision was fine, definitely fine. Pluto apologized again and added that there was no evidence for what the girl claimed. The girl noted that there was actually one thing Pluto would protect her. Her mom, who is now in heaven, told her that Luna's dad, no, that knights are the toughest in the world. So Pluto will be able to protect Luna at any time. The girl decided that this was ineffective, but suddenly Pluto announced that he would postpone his request to the chancellor, because this birthday was the anniversary of the Empire's little moon. They must prepare everything carefully. The girl wasn't sure if she'd heard correctly. Pluto acted as if he'd never even talked about canceling the birthday party. The maids rushed to Princess Luna with all their might. When they noticed Pluto, they wondered why he was with the princess, but after a moment they remembered their manners and bowed. The girls did not understand where the princess had gone so suddenly and were very worried about her. Vita wore her nightie because Luna had stolen her clothes. Pluto started to report that Princess Artemis had used magical transformation items and was The girl stopped him. If Vita and Ira found out she had been kidnapped, they would feel guilty. The princess noted that if the man told them, she would not forgive him. Pluto sighed heavily and only remarked that they should be careful. In addition, Pluto menacingly inquired why the maids allowed the princess to leave the palace. The girl realized that they could not say that it was because they had tried on the queen's clothes. If the girl said it was her fault, there would be 3 severed heads. She realized that wouldn't work. Jahi ordered herself to think hard. The girl couldn't think of anything to say, so she cried again, saying that Pluto was scary. The maids immediately remarked, "The princess is so cute." Jahi couldn't believe she had succeeded. But the girl figured that the person this was supposed to work on wouldn't even pay attention to her. But when she looked at Pluto, she saw panic in his eyes. He said that kidnapping a member of the royal family was common, and since they didn't have a clear picture, the man was interrupted by a servant running in. Pluto asked what was wrong. The servant said that there was an ancient tradition that daughters should stand by their fathers on the anniversary of their birthdays. Since Lord Pluto was to play the role of the father, he needed to change into suitable clothes for this. Pluto gently handed the princess to the maid, noting that he hoped they would pay more attention to her from now on, and hurried after the servant. Vita and Ira shook with horror, noting how scary it was. The girl remembered that they were the ones who a couple of hours ago had been shouting about how tough the demon on the battlefield was. Vita asked the princess why she'd pulled such a stunt, admitting that they'd been worried. Ira pointed out that it was their fault, as the princess was at an age where she was curious about everything. Ira asked the princess if she could wait here quietly while they brought her dress. The girl immediately agreed. She hadn't given up on her escape plan yet. The girl decided that no matter how much she wanted to live, it would eventually end with her getting caught. Jahi was very surprised to feel the soft flow of the wind. The girl was shocked to notice a stranger sitting on the roof of the building. She was surprised that the man was at such a height. Suddenly the guy jumped off the building and disappeared. The girl was sure she hadn't imagined it. She had definitely seen someone. It couldn't be a ghost. The maids came back literally at the speed of light, scaring the distracted princess. The maids didn't understand what had happened to the girl. They noted that the princess had been behaving strangely lately, but today especially. They suggested that she change her clothes and go with them. The maid said it would take about an hour to change costumes, since there were two of them. The girl twirled timidly, wondering what she looked like. The maids were delighted, speechless. Vita remarked that the princess looked exactly like Queen Athena, immediately adding that may the light of the empire's moon shine forever. The royal family's magicians Jola and Kwanji announced that the party was starting. They added that they had put a spell on the princess, so they asked her to do as they had explained earlier. 3, 2, 1, and so it began. Fireworks were heard and the servant introduced Princess Diana Stella Asteria. Pluto carried the princess gently in his arms. The girl thought it was magic. It was incredible. In her dreams, she wanted so much to see this scene. Moonlight with almost transparent milky white clouds and birds scattered across the sky like stars. Pluto illuminated by the light of the full moon. It was so beautiful. They appeared at midnight and then disappeared. Scattering, Pluto abruptly jumped off the chapel they were standing on. The crowd below was seized with shock. The man lowered himself gracefully to the ground. The girl thought it was like Cinderella on the clock tower. The crowd roared a hurrah for Princess Diana Stella Asteria. The girl tearfully remarked that it was amazing. Suddenly, the girl saw a beautiful guy in the crowd. He waved to the princess. Jahi recognized him as Endymion. Pluto exhaled unhappily, noticing the boy. The host welcomed Princess Diana Stella Asteria and Lord Pluto Leo Cleon. He thanked the stars of the Empire for bringing them all here today. An attractive man with long green hair. The girl immediately recognized him as one of the main secondary characters, the Chancellor of Asteria, Eugene. Over the past few days, they had received many gifts addressed to the princess, from honey-scented oils and pumpkins filled with fireflies to scented candles and silver roses. For those who showed their love on the occasion of little Luna's birthday, they have prepared a little gift. The princess party is a good time for Easter surprises. Everyone can take part in the Easter egg hunt. Eugene informs us that, of course, the hidden Easter eggs are not real. They are magical objects disguised as eggs. The girl realized that everything was happening as in the original story. Eugene reported that there are 12 eggs in total, and each one gives 1 point. However, it would be completely uninteresting if one person just found a lot of eggs. So they hid an egg that could be a game changer. It is worth 12 points. As for this egg, it is a personal gift to the princess from Queen Athena. This way, anyone who finds other eggs can keep them, but the hidden egg must be returned to the princess after scoring. Eugene pointed out that in case someone wanted to steal it, the egg would immediately explode in the greedy person's hands. There was an immediate uproar among the crowd at this news. Eugene assured that the egg would only explode if someone other than the princess tried to take it out of the palace. It would be fine as long as someone didn't try to hide it because of bad intentions. If someone touches one of the 11 magic eggs, their energy will automatically be absorbed by their body. When they say the words Ango di Asteria, the egg will reappear. If someone consumed the egg, they could automatically use all the magic power stored in it. The girl was very surprised to realize that this was what it really was. A woman in the crowd noted that she already knew that the eggs they would find were prizes, but she wondered what the first-place prize would be. Guy noted that this was a great question from a representative from another country, Genomobia. The main prize was Princess Luna herself. More precisely, the opportunity to be her partner at the first dance at the banquet. Eugene reported that they had hidden all the eggs inside the imperial palace. In order to keep the competition fair, tracking and summoning magic have been blocked by barriers, and its use automatically results in defeat. Deadline is before dawn. The girl noticed that everyone was enjoying the party. It was a great relief to her that the winner would only be her dance partner. 11 magic eggs have their unique functions, and some of them can help the girl escape. She will be able to sell them at a high price, so she will also go on a quest later. Endymion hurried towards the girl, noting that he had been looking for the princess for a long time. Artemis ran happily towards the boy. The girl noted that Andy had changed his clothes for the dance. The boy replied that his previous costume had been stained with blood. Jahi worried that he was hurt, but Endymion assured her that he was perfectly fine. Endymion was sure he would definitely collect the most eggs and become the princess's dance partner. Pluto grudgingly remarked that the boy was so noisy. Endymion asked Sir Pluto what was wrong. The lad decided that he too wanted to win the grand prize. The man asked not to be compared to the likes of the lad himself. Holding out his hand, Pluto asked the princess to come over to him. Endymion assured her that the girl needed to leave Mr. Mean and better come over to him. Jahi would be glad to have both of them lost somewhere. Eugene noted that there were some people who decided to ask, "Who do you love more, Mummy or Daddy?" This put the princess in a quandary. Asteria's Chancellor Eugene gallantly greeted the young moon of the empire. The girl noted that he looked neither like Pluto nor Endymion, but still the guy was too handsome. Eugene shared that he understood why the lords were so concerned. The princess had almost been kidnapped today, after all. The girl was surprised. She didn't understand how the Chancellor knew about it. Eugene noted that something incredible had been left in the forest. He ordered the best wizards to investigate the eclipse of the moon so he could see the memories of the princess almost being kidnapped. The hidden moon symbolizes life, but in this empire it has the opposite meaning: death. In other words, eclipse of the moon is an idiom for a corpse. Simply put, Eugene said he saw the memories of that spy's corpse. Pluto immediately asked the prostitute to explain how this happened, because the guy was supposed to take him to jail. Endymion thought that perhaps the man had been punished by heaven. Pluto pointed out that, after all, he had tried to cut off his hands and kill him. The girl decided that given Andy's kind character, the spy must have done something terrible. Anyway, the girl was still in trouble. In the original story, the spy was destined to die. If she managed to save the one destined to die, it would mean that there was a possibility of changing fate. To change the fate of Princess Luna. After all, the owner of this body is also destined to die because of Britain's spy. The girl was desperate. Pluto asked why the Chancellor had not cancelled the banquet if he already knew what had happened. Eugene replied that he had trusted Sir Pluto and Lord Endymion's judgment. Eugene noted that they had known all about it, but they had never told him anything about it. He decided that this was a direct request not to cancel the banquet. The Chancellor said that the two spies were allowed to come today because he had invited royal family members from other empires who had good relations with them. To summarize, today, Eugene allowed more people to come than usual. For the Easter egg contest, they had cast a death spell if anyone other than the invited guests decided to attack. Because this spell is very powerful, its only disadvantage is that it can only be used once before dawn. That's why the princess will be searching for eggs with Eugene. Eugene noticed the angry looks on the lords' faces, but he immediately pointed out that it was just a joke. He was the organizer of the banquet, so it wouldn't be fair for him to take part. The girl didn't understand how she was going to get rid of these troublesome guys. The princess said that she was an adult and would go looking for eggs herself. Endymion pointed out that it was still dangerous, so he suggested that the girl go together. Pluto reminded her that it would be safe here until dawn, so the princess would go with him. Eugene pointed out that Pluto's words were contradictory. The girl thought that the Chancellor was Pluto's boss, but because of the influence he had in conquering territories during the past wars, Asteria's real power is in the hands of the commander of the Knights. The princess pointed out that Luna could do everything on her own, and added that she would hate them if they tried to stop her. Pluto reminded her that the princess had only recently been tried to be kidnapped, and that it was very dangerous. Eugene said he realized that from an educational point of view it was very important that children her age learn independence, but he asked if the girl knew of other children who participate in the hunt. Crouching down beside the princess, Eugene took her hands in his. An egg immediately appeared on them. The Chancellor said the words "Plema di Asteria," and the girl was surprised to realize that it had been absorbed. In case the princess got lost, she would have to say "Plema di Asteria," and fireworks would explode in the sky above where the princess was. It was something like a signal rocket. Eugene asked if the lords had any more objections. He added that it was unlikely that the princess would get lost in the royal palace. With a wave of her hand, Luna announced that she would definitely take first place. Eugene noted that it was as if only yesterday she was just a little mouse, and now she had grown so much. He was afraid that the princess would grow up too fast and get married. Endymion picked up on how much Pluto wanted to be the princess's dance partner. The man ordered him not to compare him to the likes of the lad. He just didn't like such a dirty rat defaming the imperial family. Endymion stated that in that case, he would collect as many eggs as possible and show everyone his disgruntled face. He noted that Sir was not interested in winning. Pluto stated that he would kill the guy after he found all the eggs. It was the first time Eugene had ever seen the two men talk to each other so much. Sir Pluto, known as a demon on the battlefield, and Lord Endymion, nicknamed the Cerberus. They had been in darkness for so long, but now they had changed so much that no one would mistake them for monsters. Maybe those two had really changed. Pluto, running away, ordered Endymion not to chase him. The boy declared that the man was the one in pursuit. Sir Pluto was especially changed, doing such childish things not usually reserved for him. Eugene wondered if this event would somehow bear its incredible fruit. Jinya Angjoan was currently mobilized by the Knight Commander Sir Pluto and was waiting for orders. Although he had only risen from an inexperienced soldier to a full-fledged knight, he was well aware of Sir Pluto's notoriety. A demon on the battlefield, a beautiful but cold-blooded demon, a blue falcon drinking other people's blood. There are many frightening nicknames describing Sir Pluto. However, the guy was nervous, not because he was afraid of him. This was what the senior knights were talking about. From the moment you are mobilized by the Knight Commander, your life no longer belongs to you. After all, such things only happen when the welfare of the country is threatened. He had only heard rumors, and this was the first time the lad had seen Sir Pluto. The graceful step of an aristocrat, the cold gaze and the beauty of an ice sculpture. The man had an overwhelming charisma. The boy couldn't wait to see what instructions Sir Pluto would give them. The man ordered that from now on they were to find the Easter eggs. Sir Pluto is the strongest swordsman in the Empire. He doesn't need Easter eggs to be strong. Blue Falcon Knight Joe Bob decides that Pluto wants to be the princess's dance partner. Guy was very glad that he was the only one who noticed that this was the true target of Sir Pluto, the demon on the battlefield. Jinya reported that the Easter eggs were actually bombs. They were most likely planted by a spy. To help calm the excitement, the witty prime minister calmly handles it through a form of play. Yair pointed out that, come to think of it, Sir Pluto didn't even look at the 1 billion gold coin prize for the Queen's birthday. He really is a great bloke. The boy was convinced of this the moment he looked into Sir Pluto's eyes. Those cold, fiery eyes, full of passion. In them he saw a true desire to protect Asteria. The man standing next to him marveled at the fact that eggs were the bomb. Chair immediately pointed out that it was a secret between the two of them. Sir Namiya assured him that he would keep it secret, even at the cost of his own life. 10 minutes later, the Blue Falcon Knights who had become sappers began their Easter egg hunt with bulging eyes, for Asteria and their Knight Commander who wanted to protect the Empire. The girl shrieked with joy when she found the egg. After devouring it, she gained the ability to tame monsters of Class A and below. Now that Jahi thought about it, it wasn't so easy for her to find the eggs, even though she had read the novella and knew all the places. After all, someone might have already taken it. In the original, Endymion brought all but 2 of the eggs. The only ones he couldn't find were the stealth egg and the transformation egg. The transformation egg was found in front of Artemis's palace after the end of the game. The girl was sure he wasn't there originally. This transformation egg allows you to borrow someone else's image. It was the top priority for escape. The girl decided that she would definitely put it on and escape from here. Suddenly someone said it was useless. The chicks would die anyway. Pili are monsters that can't be tamed. Even if a guy feeds them, they don't eat and die in pain. The princess was surprised to see a small child here, but after looking at him, she decided that the boy was beautiful. However, she had a feeling as if she saw not a beautiful boy, but the very real miracle of Mother Nature. The girl couldn't believe that it was really him, the great dragon, myth purist Prometheus, the 3rd candidate for Father of the Moon, silver hair and blue eyes. That was exactly how he was described. The princess was stunned by its beauty. Guy reported that the father bird that the humans hunted had its head facing the bird's nest. Even after its precious heart was cut out, they squeezed the last of its strength out of it. Myth asked the human girl to give up these children, noting that when their father's life ended, theirs was also cut short. The girl realized that he thought she was helping the monster cubs. The princess wondered if the guy didn't feel sorry for them at all. Just because the parents are dead, the little ones can't survive. She thought that was despicable. Pili are monsters whose fathers have strong paternal love and have a precious heart. Since good gems can only be found in adults, people make every effort to raise the chicks. Though it always ended in failure, they cannot be tamed, so the orphan chicks die miserable deaths. The girl knew that, but she still couldn't believe that they were destined to die right after birth, just because there was nothing they could do about their fate. The girl pointed out that knowledge doesn't determine your choices. She didn't understand how that was the case. Jahi wondered if perhaps it was because they were monsters who didn't follow humans. Myth reported that in Asteria, there has been a legend since ancient times that the noblest girl with a beautiful heart would be able to tame even the evil Puili. Guy added that he had lived for 1,000 years, but had never met a girl who could tame the Puili. Jahi realized that her true nature, which she had hidden so carefully for 28 years, had finally been revealed. Eugene was the first person to develop taming magic. The egg that the girl received was just a prototype. In other words, she was currently the only person capable of taming the little Puili. The princess grabbed the nest with the chicks and flew downwards. The boy turned into a handsome young man and rushed to the girl, catching her gently and lowering her to the ground. Myth, who usually seals his power and looks like a child, becomes an adult when he uses Manu. The girl looked rapturously at the guy, admitting that he was beautiful. The girl remembered that the story of how Myth's dragon had become a human was a sad one. Suddenly, the boy leaned over and kissed the princess on the forehead, which surprised her. Myth reported that the noblest and most beautiful girl of all time could summon him due to the mark he had placed on her forehead. He asked if the girl remembered the birthday present she had asked for. Placing the girl on the ground, Myth informed her that if she thought about him hard enough, he would appear before her. Suddenly, a strong rush of wind came off, which made the girl clamor. When she opened her eyes, there was no one else around. The girl found an egg left on the ground. It was Daphne's mask. She could use it to copy the face of a person within a radius of 100 meters. To use it, you had to shout, "Daphne di Asteria." Daphne's mask can copy the appearance of a person 500 meters away. Its range and duration depend on the mana it contains. It was possible to copy faces with a mirror or a portrait, but the quality could be worse. The girl realized that it turns out the person who had left this egg in the original was Myth. Jahi couldn't believe that the desperate dragon Myth, who had no interest in being of the world, had given her a transformation egg. Why would he do that? The princess figured it was because he thought she was a noble girl. When she heard someone coming, the princess immediately hid in a hurry. One of the girls told the other that Sir Pluto was rumored to be looking hard for eggs. Another girl decided that are eggs really that amazing? However, she noted that Pluto is not a self-serving person. Her friend reported that the eggs are actually bombs. She noted that there was no other reason why he would be looking for them. Frightened, the girl tearfully asked if they were in danger. My lady assured them that of course not, for Sir Pluto would protect them, and if they found the eggs early and brought them to him personally, Pluto would thank and reward the fine ladies. The girl didn't understand how the hell they could imagine such a thing. She also didn't understand why Pluto would be looking for eggs in the first place. She was sure it was just a rumor. Saying the magic words, the princess ordered to turn her into the blonde girl that ran past. The girl suddenly realized that she had accidentally brought the fledglings with her. They were kind of in her way. So small, so weak, and so stupid. They were in for a real treat the moment they met her. The boy wondered what prank the princess was up to, taking on someone else's appearance like that. Myth decided that finding the special egg wouldn't be too hard, given Athena's personality. It had been so long since he had felt this way, not since Athena had died. Myth really hoped that the dragon's dearest daughter would find Athena's gift. The girl decided it was a cursed story. Endymion is quite the talker. He detailed where he found each of the 10 eggs in the novella. However, the one who accidentally found the secret egg was Hercules, but he never said where exactly. All he told her was that he had found the egg while he was returning a fallen chick back to the nest. The girl didn't understand how she was supposed to find the egg based only on such information. The princess stopped, noticing someone. The man, holding the chick gently in his arms, ordered him not to fall down again, for his mum must be very worried about him. Soft brown hair, a build as big as a bear, eyes like a small fawn, and holding a tiny chick with his big, strong hands. This must be Eleocraderi's Hercules, the last candidate to be Princess Luna's father. Jahi noted that he was as handsome as Endymion and Pluto. The man didn't understand why the girl was looking at him like that, and decided he had something on his face. Deftly jumping down from a tree branch, Hercules asked my lady if she was looking for eggs. He noted that she was helping these abandoned chicks. The girl continued to hold the nest with the chicks in her hands. The girl was guiltily silent. She could not admit to the man that she wanted to take his egg. Hercules thought she was from another kingdom and didn't speak Asterian. Jahi understood Asterian in this world as well as English in ours. Hercules tried to ask in another language, and the more he spoke, the more the girl marveled at how many languages he knew. Hercules found it strange that the girl did not speak any of the languages of the neighboring regions. He figured she must be from far away. Jahi noted that that was Hercules' charm. He was pumped up and smart. Hercules was so bright that he would have been able to fulfill his dream of becoming a student had family problems not stopped him. Grabbing the girl's hand, Hercules offered to escort her back to the banquet. Jahi noted that his hand was so large and rough. Just by looking at those calluses, one could realize how hard he practices fencing. The girl noted that the man was talking to himself. He must have decided that the lady didn't understand him. Hercules thought he was such an idiot. He searched all over, but never found a single egg. According to the original story, Hercules was supposed to find a special egg. The girl decided it was because of her sudden appearance. In the short story, he finds it after saving the chick by looking in the nest. The plot must have shifted because the girl distracted him. She decided it was fine and she would just pick up the egg later. Hercules confessed that he was a terrible father, because he couldn't even go near her on her birthday. He was so desperate that he even decided to enter a contest. The man decided that he was so stupid. Hercules didn't know what else he could have done. Now that he had missed his chance, he couldn't stop thinking about why he was so helpless. Noticing that my lady had stopped, the man decided that he had walked too fast. Hercules has calloused hands and no special skills other than being well-read, but he always goes ahead, making everything possible, just like a bear. All this foolish effort should have resulted in him finding the secret egg and defeating Endymion. But instead, the man lost to the cheating girl, lost to her. Hercules decided that the girl was not well, but she, sharply wrenching her hand from his grasp, fled away. Survival skills are essential in any world. This is the wisdom that the girl learnt being an orphan for 27 years. However, despite all this, she wanted Hercules to find the secret egg. Jahi informed the man that if it was really that important, then they should find the egg. The girl wanted Hercules to know that trying your best sometimes pays off, even in this cruel world. The girl asked the man to hold the nest briefly. Hercules didn't understand why, but noted that it looked dangerous. The girl assured him that climbing trees was her speciality. The girl noted that Hercules could take it easy. She would get him that egg. Going through the eggs in the nest, Jahi decided that it should appear the moment she touched it. Now that the girl thought about it, she decided that the bird in the nest looked a little strange. Turning around, Jahi saw the monster behind her. The girl realized it was Puili's mother, a huge, monstrous bird 3 meters tall. Jahi tried to hide, but the monster grabbed the girl sharply, not allowing her to escape. Hercules immediately rushed to the rescue, pulling his sword from its sheath and swinging it at the bird. But it was too late. The blade never touched the monster, and it flew away, holding the girl in its beak. Jahi realized that it didn't matter that he was the second best knight in the Empire after Pluto. There was nothing he could do as long as the bird was in the air. Looking down, the girl was surprised to see Hercules running through the branches. Hercules deftly pushed off the branch, hopping onto the bird's paw. The girl found it amazing. The man immediately asked my lady if she was all right. The girl realized that neither of them could do anything in the air. The bird continued on its way. When the bird landed, it finally let go of the girl and she fell to the ground. Hercules immediately ran up to her, worriedly wondering if the girl was all right. Hercules reported that he didn't know why, but the bird had flown away. He decided that they should try to escape. The girl thought it was impossible. Hercules made sure the horizon was clear and promised to protect my lady. After walking a few steps, the man suddenly froze, unable to go any further. He didn't realize what was happening. The girl informed them that Puili is a magical bird. They would not be able to leave the place until she let them. There was some kind of barrier that would not let them pass. Adult Puili are Class 5 monsters, but he is usually calm unless provoked. The bird must have thought they were trying to steal her babies. Hercules wondered how a noble woman like her could know all this. The girl realized that she had messed up. The man might look goofy, but he was still a captain of the Imperial Guard, and she looked very suspicious right now. Hercules acknowledged that the girl was incredible, and asked enthusiastically how she knew so much about the behavior of wild monsters. The girl decided that she was very lucky that he was such a simpleton. Hercules asked if the girl had any ideas on how they could get out. Jahi had read the story cover to cover and knew all about this world, but there was only one way to get out of the female's nest. She had to give her permission. Given that the bird apparently thought they were trying to kidnap her babies, the girl doubted she would let them get away so easily. So she had one more option. The novella didn't mention any other possible means of escape from Puili's nest, but perhaps killing the bird would solve everything. If the Puili that cast the spell disappears, so does the barrier. Hercules admitted that it made sense, but if you think about it, it was his fault that the female got it wrong. She's just a mother trying to protect her offspring. Hercules believed that they had no other choice. The girl reported that the Puili brought food to their nests before eating it. They were that food. The girl reminded herself that there was little she could do about it, and ordered herself not to be weak. She apologized to the man for involving him in this. Hercules assured her that he understood, and as soon as Puili returned, he would take care of everything. Jahi reckoned that it had been about 3 hours since she had used the egg. The magic should disappear in about an hour, and then she would become Princess Luna again. The girl wondered how she could escape without Hercules noticing. She was going to leave after she gave him the egg, but right now perhaps she should be thinking about her own survival. Joan reminded himself that he was working with Sir Pluto to help the Empire in such a time of crisis. As he approached, the guy informed Joan that Sir Endymion's assassination squad was also using all resources to find the eggs. Despite being rivals, Sir Pluto and Sir Endymion joined forces. The guy thought it was really amazing that enemies and friends were working together to save the Empire. Guy noted that they seemed to have upset Sir Pluto by telling the others about the situation. They thought he was so cool, scary but cool. Pluto thought about how annoyed he was with the recruits this year. Looking up, Pluto noticed something up above. When he got a better look at it, he decided it couldn't be. The man immediately informed his squad that he had found the secret egg. The girl kept thinking about how she could escape without Hercules noticing. The man had gone off to look for food, just as she had suspected. They decided to take turns going out and warning each other if the mother bird returned. Now that the barrier is weakened, Hercules can move about 500 meters away from the cave entrance. If he tries to go further, the magic will return him to his starting point. Escaping is actually quite easy. She just needs to launch the rocket that Eugene gave her. However, if the girl does that but can't escape from the story. Suddenly, the girl shuddered as she heard a noise. She didn't realize what it was because she thought she was here all alone. The girl immediately went towards the noise to check it out. Noticing the egg, Jahi decided that it was most likely 100 times larger than the egg of the male Puili. It must belong to a female Puili. Usually only 1 out of 10 of these would hatch. Unlike males, who devote themselves to caring for their offspring, females drop their eggs as soon as they lay them. The only time a female actively cares for her offspring is when the chick will also be a female. 100 days after hatching, the female Puili reaches maturity and flies off to find a mate. The monster's behavior was blowing the girl's mind. The girl decided that this was her chance. The barrier will temporarily disappear if she kills a Puili chick. They all establish telepathic bonds with their offspring for better protection. She would have time to get away while the mother bird panicked over the baby's death. Suddenly, Jae-hee saw a girl who looked suspiciously like her. She panicked, but the next second she was in the safe arms of Hercules. When she looked at the nest again, she realized that she was back in the cave. The girl remembered that even if she fell off the damn cliff, she'd be back here as soon as she got beyond the barrier. At least the chick was still alive. Hercules happily reported that he had managed to find some food. Noticing the chick, the man remarked that it was very cute. He decided that the girl wanted to pet it and warned that no matter how cute it looked, he had to be careful. It was only for a second, but the fleeting image of the girl when she was just a little girl in the monster changed the way she felt about her. Now the girl's life was on the line. Hercules held out a mushroom to the girl, recommending that she try it. He shared that it was a mushroom he had eaten at the academy. It looked strange, but it tasted good, and it was healthy. Jahi reported that the world is unfair. People go to their deaths to achieve their goals. This is another truth the girl learnt while she was an orphan. If the people in power want it, the weak will easily become victims. The world has never been merciful. The girl doesn't intend to be either. Hercules decided that the girl was saying this because she felt sorry for the fledglings who had lost their mum. He asked my lady not to worry. noting that he was the knight here and he would do all the dirty work for her. The girl informed that the man could eat first, and she needed to go get some fresh air. Going round the cave, the girl finally found the place where Hercules had found the mushroom. The benign mushroom collected by Hercules is edible, but if you grind it into powder along with the plants growing around it, you can make a poison that will easily kill a puili chick. Remembering Hercules' words, the girl decided that he was an idiot, and being so gullible, he would never get anywhere. Suddenly, the girl jerked when she heard Puili's chick crying. The girl noticed that the chick had just fallen off the cliff. The girl decided that now she understood everything. In very rare cases, it happens that females show affection for male chicks. If she has lost a female chick, the puili bird will go to her partner's nest and check to see if there is a male chick left. The mother thinks her chick is dead, but in fact it failed to take off when it first tried to do so. But if it can't fly up on its own, most likely. The girl immediately tried to grab the chick, but still couldn't reach it. Hercules was surprised to see my lady's hand in the cave. The girl apologized, reporting that her hand seemed to have traveled a distance of 500 meters. The chick seemed to be behind the barrier. The girl didn't understand why she was trying to save the chick, since no one had ever tried to save her. She had no reason to. Killing the chick was the best option if she wanted to escape before she turned back into Princess Luna. If she hadn't found the chick, it would have died anyway. The girl couldn't believe that she had just said something like that. The girl immediately called out loudly to Hercules. He came running as fast as he could, wondering what was wrong. The girl said that she needed to borrow his sword. Hercules noted that he appreciated the fact that the girl was trying to help him kill Puili, but he assured her that he could do it all himself. Grabbing his sword, Jahi threw the sword away. She only needed the scabbard. Hercules realized that my lady was upset, but asked her to pull herself together. The girl noted that the puili loved the smell of benenum mushroom and began to rub it on her scabbard. The girl wouldn't be able to save the chick with just a stick, but maybe she could do it with a sheath made of magical leather. Hercules decided that the girl had lost her mind altogether. The girl told him that they might be able to get out of here without killing anyone. The barrier prevented only them from going beyond the boundaries, but the sheath was unstoppable. Bending over a little more, the girl was finally able to reach the scabbard to the chick, but because she was frightened, the bird let go of the scabbard. Suddenly, the slope began to collapse, dragging the girl down with it. But Jahi was still more worried about the chick at that moment. Take off or crash. Situations really come down to life or death. The girl decides that's great, because even though she's weak, now Puili can fly. After all, there is no such thing as a destined death. The girl thought it was unfair that she didn't have wings, but she was glad that the chick was alive after all. The girl opened her eyes sharply when she heard Hercules shouting, asking for her hand. Hercules wondered if the lady had hurt herself. He was glad she was back in the cave again. He admitted that he had been too shocked to think straight and admitted that it had been foolish. Hercules was going to try to dash to save the girl, but he thinks that's not his style. The man decided he was just useless. Jahi remembered that in the original, he was the one who found the secret egg. Suddenly, a carcane was heard behind them. Hercules rushed to protect the girl, but she asked him to wait. She noted that she needed the mother to know that her chick was safe. Noticing the chick next to its mother, the boys were surprised. It turned out that she had already found it, and it was screaming with joy. The boys realized that the bird was letting them go. Hercules didn't know what was going on, but he thought it was beautiful that a mother and her child were reunited. The girl knew that female puili were very rare, but still there were as many as 3 of them here. She decided that something was wrong here. The girl immediately rushed deeper into the cave. Hercules didn't realize where she was going. Jahi realized that they might be far away from the castle, but they were still in its territory. The girl remembered that Hercules had said he had found the secret egg on the way back after bringing the fallen chick back to the nest, but he didn't say which chick. The girl decided that one good-hearted and somewhat simple-minded person must have thought the monster was a good-natured fledgling. Suddenly, the queen's secret egg appeared in the girl's hands, which announced that the girl is the bravest and most noble person in these lands. She will fulfill the last will of the queen and help to create a new page in the history of Asteria. Hercules couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the egg. The girl didn't understand how Eugene could tell it was on Asterian lands if it was hidden in a place like this. The queen must have thought that a person who couldn't pass such a test didn't deserve an egg. It's like when she ordered Pluto to get rid of the princess if she doesn't make a worthy heiress. Hercules was thrilled that the girl had actually found it, considering it an excellent event. Jahi noted that although the man had wanted so badly to find the egg, he was now congratulating her without the slightest hint of envy. Hercules was so kind and simple. He was just incapable of hating anyone, so the girl decided to give the egg to the man. Hercules immediately began to deny it, noting that it belonged to the girl. Jahi tried to force the egg into the man's hands, but he decided it would be better for her to keep it than someone like him. Hercules admitted that he was slow and foolish, and therefore could not have found the egg alone. The girl assured him that he had made her want to give it to him. He noted that this was the gift of man. Jahi assured that she was not doing it out of kindness. She confessed that if it had been anyone else, she would have kept the egg for herself. But it was her gift to Hercules. By that time, the girl had already become a princess again. Realizing that time was up, the girl began to panic. She had been acting very mature for the past few hours. The girl was afraid that the man would realize that she wasn't the real Princess Luna. She remembered that the punishment was quite severe in this fantasy world. Hercules decided that his daughter was a genius princess who had disguised herself to help him. The girl was relieved to remember that the guy was a bit of a tightwad. The girl's escape may have failed, but she could still help Hercules win. To do that, they needed to get back to the castle before sunset. The girl realized that the outbreak wouldn't do any good. Hercules recognized that although they wouldn't make it back in time, the opportunity to spend time with the princess was already a huge gift to him. When he felt the wind, he didn't realize what was happening. The girl remembered that if she concentrated on thoughts of myth, he would appear in front of her. Holding the nest that the princess had left him, the man realized that the bird was their mother. The man acknowledged that female Paley do not usually take care of their chicks, but today he had seen many amazing things. He asked the girl if she remembered what gift she had asked him for. Hercules realized that the man had come all the way here to celebrate the princess's birthday. He inquired what exactly she had asked for. The girl did not know, for it was not in the novella. The girl decided that she should just go with the flow and put her hand in the man's hand. Suddenly, he turned into a beautiful white dragon. Allowing the girl to climb onto his back, Myth informed her that it was a belated gift from her father, noting that the girl had always admired the heavens. Shrinking back in fear, the girl was shocked to see the princess ask the man to ride her on his back. Hercules assured the princess that everything was fine and she could open her eyes. The girl forced herself to open her eyes. She saw the trees glittering like jewels in the sunlight, the transparent sky of early morning that turns golden, pushing away the darkness of the night. It was a breathtaking view. The girl decided that she must look completely shocked right now. Hercules admitted that so much had happened today that he was still shocked, but he had definitely learnt some things. The man confessed that he thought Princess Artemis was amazing. He considered her birth akin to a miracle. The girl realized that the man could not bring himself to say that the princess was his daughter. She has decided that Hercules is stupid. Even when they are alone, he still continues to keep his distance. It was ridiculous. The man kept talking about how brilliant the princess was, and that perhaps she would surpass the great sages. Out of embarrassment, the girl changed the subject, stating that Puili is a species that exhibits opposite characteristics based on gender. The girl reported that the females fly away after laying eggs and the males take care of the cubs. Everyone hates aggressive females because of their steel heart. They are called old witches. But they will fight to the death to protect their mate. The girl suggested that perhaps the males endanger their mates on purpose in order to be closer to the females. The girl thought that maybe these words reminded Hercules of old memories. Lying in his arms, the woman thought it was unbelievable that females defended themselves. Hercules reminded the woman that she was Queen Athena. The woman repeated in an irritated tone that the female was very fierce, and the bitch had assembled a harem of males. The woman thought that was very arrogant, as it was for a bird. Eventually, the woman admitted that perhaps she was a bit like a bird. Hercules suggested that in ferocity, but Athena assured that in the way she protects the male. In fact, Hercules had similar thoughts. Even if he was a bit timid, he wanted to be childish with such a queen. He didn't understand why he remembered it after all these years. Hercules decided that he must have been overjoyed. Perhaps he was trying to hammer it out to hide his sadness. The The man decided that this mischievous queen had planned the whole thing from the beginning. Hercules remembered the queen once saying, in a distant memory, that the male Puili continued to protect his chicks even when his heart was ripped from his chest. Leaning closer to the princess, Hercules swore to the queen that, as promised, he would always protect this little girl. Eugene noted that the sun was rising. The man announced that only 2 people had found the eggs and offered to determine the winner. The first was Sir Endymion. He collected 4 eggs. Eugene concluded that this was a really strong candidate. The next was Sir Pluto. The boy became angry when he saw the grin on the man's face. 1 egg fell out of Pluto's hands. The man said that he could carry 4 eggs in his hands, but 5 eggs were difficult to carry with only 2 hands. He ordered Joan to pick up the egg. Guy noted that, as expected, the commander had done an amazing job. He had defeated Sir Endymion. It was worth the time spent searching for the eggs, even though they had risked their lives. Upon learning that the man had ordered his men to help him, Endymion declared that Pluto should be disqualified for cheating. Eugene pointed out that the guy couldn't just break the rules of the game. Pluto noted that this was not fraud, but strategy. One of Endymion's subordinates noted that the Lord had also ordered them to look for Easter eggs. Another immediately ordered him to be silent. Pluto pointed out that the whole thing was silly and Endymion would have lost anyway. The man ordered the secret egg to be brought in. The man added that the size and weight of the other eggs was nothing compared to the secret egg. Pluto noted that he couldn't even absorb it. Eugene asked where he'd found it. The man admitted that he'd found it in the hollow of a tree, in a place where normal people would have trouble finding it. The boy immediately shrieked with joy as he rushed to meet the man. He thanked Sir Pluto for finding his lost ball. The boy, noticing the man's angry look, immediately informed him that Sir Pluto could keep the ball. Pluto gave the ball back to the boy, telling him not to go into the forest again. He immediately began to thank the man again, noting that Sir Pluto was so cool. Pluto noted that even without the secret egg, he had found more than the guy. Endymion asked if he picked up the eggs the man had dropped. Would they become his? Eugene informed him that violence was fraud. Eugene noted that Pluto had put a lot of effort into winning. He decided that the man wanted to dance with the princess very badly. Pluto assured him that he was just trying to protect her so that one prostitute couldn't get near her. Eugene offered to announce the results, but Joan stopped him. The boy pointed out that there are 12 eggs. The secret egg is fake, so they must have 9 eggs, including Sir Endymion's egg. It turns out the remaining 3 eggs are bombs. This information immediately raised panic among the people. Joan assured that he was with the Asterian Empire to the end. The guy standing next to him started whining about how short his life had been. Pluto thought he had recruited a bunch of lunatics into his ranks. Pluto didn't understand what kind of bombs the boys were talking about. Suddenly there was an enthusiastic murmur and a dragon appeared in the sky. When Pluto noticed its silvery scales, he wondered if it could be myth. The dragon gently descended to the ground, causing the crowd to whisper enthusiastically. When people saw Sir Myth, they thought it was almost impossible, for he rarely appeared in public. Noticing that the dragon had someone on its back, the people whispered even more. Hercules picked up the princess in his arms and gently jumped to the ground, wondering if the game was still on. Eugene was shocked to notice Princess Luna. He asked the man to give the princess a commemorative gift from the queen, announcing that Sir Hercules was the winner. Eugene noted that just a second ago, Sir Pluto had said he wasn't interested in dancing with the princess and asked what about Hercules. He admitted that he wanted to do it. Eugene noted that perhaps it was the man's desire to partner with the princess that had led him to the egg. He added that Sir Pluto could have made more effort, but lacked the passion and desire to win. Eugene announced the start of the ball. The princess even changed her dress on purpose so that their outfits would match. The guests remarked how cute she was, and one of them even asked his wife to give him a daughter. Myth noticed that the dragon's daughter made someone like her with no ties to the human realm feel competitive in the contest. The longer he looked at her, the more mysterious she seemed to him. Eugene warned that if the men wanted to take someone's life, they would be escorted out of the banquet. Endymion immediately said that he certainly didn't feel any hatred for Hercules. The princess asked if she was heavy because of her age. Hercules said that the girl was as light as a feather. The princess had no choice but to step on Hercules's feet because of their height difference. She decided she must be heavy. Even children weigh quite a bit. The princess slipped and let go of the man's hands, flying to the ground. But instead of falling, she soared into the air, surprised at what was happening. Myth stated that the princess fell because she stumbled due to the fact that there was very little room. Snapping his fingers, the man stated that he would send the girl to the stage because it suited her. Myth declared that he would send Hercules there too, in gratitude for entertaining his daughter. Squirming, the princess confessed that she was afraid of heights. Hercules immediately hugged her, reassuring her. Myth couldn't see the girl very well, but he decided that she seemed to be enjoying it. He thought about the fact that it might be a good idea to raise them higher. Hercules assured the princess that everything was fine and she could open her eyes. The girl opened her eyelids, seeing the bright halo of the sun rising from the horizon. Hercules asked the princess to dance in the sky since they were already here. The girl was surprised, for this scene was not in the novel. In the book, they danced on the ground. The girl noted that the imperial palace seemed toy-like from here. It's just a fantasy world. Smiling awkwardly, the princess decided to agree. The girl decided that maybe she should create some happy memories while she was here. The crowd couldn't take their eyes off the couple dancing in the sky. They remarked that they were like father and daughter. Endymion asked the lizard-like bastard to do him a favor. Myth noted that he was a very bold man, wondering if all humans asked for something in this way. Endymion stated that he had asked Sir Myth to lift him into the air so that he could dance with the princess. He stated that from now on he would dance with the girl, and Hercules could be free. Hercules was touched by the way Endymion cared for the princess. The boy felt vile about that reaction. Myth suddenly appeared and said that he too demanded a dance. He said that he had done more than the others, for it was he who had brought the boy Hercules up here and contributed to his victory. Endymion stated that he should have danced first with the princess. Myth reported that he then gives the lad permission to dance with Hercules while he will dance with the princess. That way Andy wouldn't be lonely. As he climbed up the tower steps, Pluto decided he had to stay close to the princess to protect her. After all, it was his duty to protect her today. Pluto had no idea what the dragon was thinking to himself, for it was much more dangerous in the air than on the ground. The princess could catch a cold because of the strong wind, or, if she was unlucky, she could be hit by a bird. Rising above, Pluto froze in amazement as he noticed Mythos dancing with the princess, while Hercules held back a disgruntled Endymion. Hercules noted that he hadn't seen the secret egg since they'd come up here. He wondered if it was safe. He was worried, since the egg was very precious. The princess declared that she could not devour it, and so she asked Meef to teleport it to her room. The man snapped his fingers, and as the princess wished, the egg appeared in her hands. The egg immediately began to vibrate in her hands, startling the girl. She let it slip out of her hands in surprise. When the princess saw the falling egg, she immediately ran after it. The girl caught the egg with a happy grin, but as soon as she touched it, a powerful wave threw her back. Everyone present was immediately afraid for the princess. Looking at Myth and the princess dancing, Pluto thought it looked like a scene from a fairy tale. Honestly, it was hard for him to get used to things like this. A woman appeared before Pluto's gaze and asked him if he knew that all her misfortunes began with his birth. The man decided it was a worthless memory. Noticing the falling princess, Pluto didn't hesitate to rush after her, catching the girl in his arms. Pluto couldn't guarantee a safe landing if she landed on the roof. He thought about the fact that maybe he could use his body to cushion the fall. It was a mere trifle to him. Being a few meters from the roof, Pluto felt them hovering in the air. Meef appeared nearby and asked if they were okay. The man was surprised that he had saved them. Pluto immediately asked irritably how a man could lift a princess so high without thinking how dangerous it could be. Myth jabbed a finger at his forehead, silencing him. Mythos apologized, stating that one child was frowning too much and it looked really strange. The man reported that he had sworn to Athena that he would protect that child. Moff reported that he had already used several protection spells, and his wind would save the princess faster than any human could. So she was perfectly safe. Myth noted that Pluto should appreciate himself a little more, at least once in a while. With a snap of his fingers, the man sent the pair upwards again, ordering the man to cast off his scowl and enjoy the beautiful view. Pluto was angry that this dragon was doing whatever he wanted. The princess decided that Myth was upset that Pluto wasn't dancing with all of them. He wanted to show the man the view. Holding out her hand to the man, the princess asked if he would like to dance. Pluto bowed and replied that he would do whatever his princess wished. Myth noted that this fall was no accident. The egg had returned to normal as he had cleaned it, but it definitely reeked of a dark aura. The man lowered Hercules and Andy to the ground as he used up a lot of magic. The girl noticed that although Pluto's face was grim, he danced very gracefully. She thought that maybe he wasn't as formidable as he wanted to be. She recognized that he was even sweet. Noticing me flying up, the girl wondered when he had managed to get up here. The man said he had fixed the princess's egg. The girl was grateful to him for that. The princess promised she would be careful and try not to drop it this time. The girl decided that they were all so stupid, being nice to someone like her, even though she was nobody to them. The girl noted that the sky was cool, but the egg was warm. Sneezing, she was surprised to notice that the egg she had risked her life for was gone. Myth was also surprised by this. The man claimed to have put a curse on that egg. If only the dragon hadn't interfered. His accomplice assured him that he need not worry. The princess is too young, and the emperor's throne is empty. They would come up with a new plan after the festive banquet. The man stated that they would do anything to make sure that his master was the one to become the new emperor. The egg fell to the ground, shattering the stonework. The princess anxiously asked Eugene if he was all right. The man noted that it was definitely Queen Athena's magical item. Eugene noted that he would have been done for if the egg had fallen on him. The princess admitted that she was sorry. She felt terrible about it. Of course, Eugene wouldn't hurt himself. The talented Chancellor of Asteria and Mage could easily create a shield to protect himself and everyone else. There was a reason he had been chosen to be the assistant to a tyrant like Athena. The man was surprised to see that the egg had opened, and there was something inside. When Eugene looked at it more closely, he realized it was a note. The note stated that the queen nominated Hercules Eleocridere, Mythopoeir Prometheus, Pluto Leo Cleon, and Endymion Bellium Hibelius as candidates to be the father of the princess. The girl realized that she had only spent one day in this fantasy world. She decided that she would never escape from this story. Vita couldn't believe that one of these honorable men could be the princess's father. Ira asked her to tell her everything in detail immediately because she wasn't there. The queen reported that they all received her favor at almost the same time when she became pregnant with Princess Artemis. All candidates should be treated equally as her fathers, regardless of their title or age. Also, if they perform poorly as her fathers, the princess can later remove them from the list of candidates. The candidates are tasked with the mission of finding 4 sacred objects that the queen left behind. These items were a saint's goblet, a crystal branch of Olympus, a dragon crystal, and a mantle of salamander skin. While the search is ongoing, Princess Diana Stella of Asteria will have to evaluate the wisdom and courage of the candidates in order to choose an emperor. The chosen candidate will have to become the father of the princess and the ruler of Asteria. The queen warned that Luna shouldn't make a choice based on their looks. She added that they were all corpses if they didn't act like her fathers. The note stated that they couldn't refuse. The crowd immediately began to whisper. Some people thought that the process of choosing a candidate for emperor was unfair. One of the girls admitted that she was rooting for Sir Pluto. Another didn't understand how she could say that when Sir Endymion was here. Another note stated that if they could remove a candidate, they would take their place. Vita noted how everyone fell silent when it was announced that one could become a candidate after winning a fight. Ira immediately pointed out that Sir Pluto was the best swordsman in the Empire, Sir Endymion the most handsome, and Sir Myth. The girl decided that despite how ridiculous it was, people didn't object as much as she expected. As it is, one of the candidates is Sir Pluto, who many want to put on the imperial throne. Many disliked the imperial regent as he was very unskilled, especially since the previous empress was monstrously capable. Many argue that the commander of the knights should become emperor. After all, it was he who overthrew tyrant Demios and contributed most to the formation of the Asterian Empire. Anyway, the people in power have decided that Podos should be the regent. Before Princess Artemis's coming-of-age ceremony, which is a simple excuse, they want to usurp the throne and get rid of the princess. The maid reported that the princess was almost ready. It is a slip of an evening gown that is both appropriate and elegant. It might look plain if worn improperly, but the girl added a brooch made of spirit stone and completed the skirt with a print. Vita noted that she really liked the princess dress from the birthday party, but this one was cute too. She had to write it down with a magic recording stone. The girl suggested that they go find the chancellor and get a tape of the princess's birthday banquet celebration from him. The girl remarked that it was a crime to be so obsessed with her. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. The girls didn't know who it could be at this hour. The boy who entered immediately confessed that he was very sorry that he could not arrive in time for the princess's birthday party. He reported that Amur Temis Mitamosin was pleased to welcome the little moon of the empire. Ira noted that she had heard that Cupid had gone to guard Gascony. Cupid said that he had received word through a magic telegram that the princess had been kidnapped, and therefore had returned earlier than he had planned. He heard that the kidnapper was pretending to be him. The guy admitted that it was his fault that the princess was in danger. The girl noted that Cupid returned immediately after learning of the kidnapping, just like in the original. She was glad to finally see the real Cupid. Ira assured him that it wasn't Sir Cupid's fault, as the kidnapper had simply used his face. The boy noted that whatever the reason, the princess was in danger because of him. Cupid declared that he would sacrifice his life to pay for this sin. The girl thought suffering handsome men were the best. She liked Cupid's face, but he was in too much of a hurry. The man pounded his fist menacingly on the handle of the throne. He didn't see the point of it. The imperial regent Potos Thanatos Asteria was a distant relative of Athena. The man confessed that all those odes about how the hero Pluto, who fights shoulder to shoulder with Athena, should become emperor, drive him crazy. He wondered if there was any way to get rid of the man. The loyal servant Akium Gireo reported that they had tried to kill Sir Pluto many times, but all they ended up doing was losing their assassins. He's the best swordsman in the empire. Ordering him killed is like ordering a mouse to fight a tiger. Then he wondered what about the other three. If he could get rid of at least one, he could take his place. He had already imagined the princess saying that Luna liked Daddy Potos the best. Gireo didn't say that a man couldn't be a candidate, but he reminded that Sir Hercules was the second best knight in the empire after Sir Pluto. Not to mention Sir Pluto himself is a demon on the battlefield. Although he's not that famous and you wouldn't say so at first, Sir Endymion is the best assassin in the empire. Myth is a magic-wielding dragon, so it will be the hardest thing to get rid of. Potos inquired as to what they should do. Gireo assured him that he had a plan, suggesting that they simply ignore the will. The man decided that he was out of his mind, since it was Athena's last will. Potos noted that the foolish townspeople worship Athena as if she were a goddess. He recalled the revolution that turned this country into a republic. He didn't know what they would do if there was another uprising. Gireo noted that, fortunately for them, Princess Artemis is a 7-year-old child. She'd be dangerous if she were 27, but she's still a baby. They can manipulate public opinion so that people think that the princess is incapable of choosing a suitable emperor. Unless something unexpected happens, the imperial throne will be Potos's. It took an hour to calm the maids. Finally, Veda asked why Sir Cupid was here. Muttering magic words, the boy summoned a secret egg for himself. Cupid noted that it was a memorial gift from the queen. The chancellor inspected it after it had fallen earlier. He made sure it was unbroken and asked that it be given to the princess. The girl wondered if the secret egg could be devoured. It had no reaction to her touch. The princess admitted to Cupid that this egg was strange. She devoured all the others when she touched them. Cupid admitted that the secret egg usually reacted to the host's mana. The boy admitted that it was strange, since the princess should have been able to absorb it since she had inherited mana from Queen Athena. The girl decided that she couldn't use magic because she was Jahi Chong and not the real moon. But it had to work since she was in the moon's body. Cupid suggested that the princess might have a magical cold or something, and offered to call a doctor. The girl assured that she just wasn't feeling well today. The girl was afraid that if she passed the test and it was found out that she wasn't Luna, still, she had to find out why she couldn't use magic. Trying to distract Cupid from his rash act, the girl asked why Pluto hated Endymion so much. She noted that Pluto wasn't the kind of person who liked to humiliate a man just because of his status in society. Jahi said the first thing that popped into her head, but the answer to that question had been on her mind since she'd read the novel. Amur may have a dark past, but Pluto doesn't look down on him because of it. Cupid confirmed that Sir Pluto does not discredit people, his including, and admitted that he can only share his guesses. After 3 years, the queen finally returned from her trip to Rusalia. Cupid noted that Pluto's face seemed normal, but some of his features gave away how excited he was. Even though Cupid was not officially a knight, Athena gave him various orders. He was the first commander of the assassins, Endymion II. Pluto reported that he had received a magical telegram saying that the queen had rescued a slave who was being held in a brothel. He decided that she must have been through a lot and asked the boy to keep an eye on her. Eugene was older in status than the commander of the Knights, so pseudo-boss of Pluto. He wondered if the man really took everything their extravagant queen said seriously. Pluto ordered Eugene to shut up before he lost his rotten tongue. He noted that the commander was making terrible jokes, but Pluto assured the boy that he wasn't joking. A servant ordered the gate to open and announced that Queen Athena had arrived. The woman was surprised that everyone had come to greet her, since she had said she didn't have to do that. She remarked that they were all so stubborn. Smiling contentedly, Athena greeted Pluto. Dropping to one knee, the man also greeted the queen and congratulated her on her safe return. The queen admitted that she missed Pluto's formal speech. A servant pointed out that although it was an informal event, there were knights present, so the queen should stick to formal greetings. Pluto noted that the queen's speech was so erratic, she had forgotten how to greet people. The man didn't understand how he could fall in love with someone like her. He wanted to go back 5 years and punch himself in the past. The queen announced that there was someone she would like to introduce. A handsome, fair-haired man stepped out of the carriage. The woman said he was Endymion, the one she had taken from the brothel. Pluto ordered himself to remain calm. It was only a coincidence that she had rescued a man from the brothel. Her message didn't specify that it wasn't a woman. Stepping out of the carriage, Endymion hooked himself over, accidentally almost bumping into Athena. The boy didn't understand how he could have behaved so inappropriately towards the queen. Even if it was a mistake, such a touching was unthinkable. The boy admitted that he was pleased to meet Sir Pluto. He introduced himself as Endymion Belium Hebelius, noting that the queen had granted him a middle name and surname. Pluto surmised that this young man had probably had a hard life. Good thing he had no preconceptions about that. Endymion added that his naughty queen had played with him every night for 3 years. Pluto was angry, thought it was a diplomatic trip. The queen immediately assured that Endymion knew a lot of funny stories, so after a long day at work, she listened to them to relax. The queen noted that in any case, time was flying so fast, and she needed to get ready for the welcome party. Rushing to the woman, Endymion informed her that he couldn't sleep alone because of the terrible memories of the past. The queen allowed Endymion to sleep in her chambers for the first time, immediately noting that of course they would just hold hands. The boy admitted that he would feel sorry for Sir Pluto then. The queen didn't understand what the problem was, since they would just hold hands. She asked the guy today to tell her a funny story. Pluto felt like cracking his past self's head open. Pluto noted that there was nothing he could do about the fact that he was completely captivated by the queen's charms. If it weren't for the queen, he would have sacrificed his life for another man. Pluto has decided that the queen has been away for a long time, so he has become overly sentimental, causing bad thoughts to pop into his head. The queen cares about the affairs of the empire, so she needs something to relieve her stress. Pluto remembered the queen saying he was just a poor bloke from the brothel, but noticing his sly grin, Pluto felt all his rational arguments crumble. Cupid reported that Sir Endymion was a master seducer and would not let the queen go for a moment. Sir Pluto was troubled to the point that it broke even the lad's heart. Now the girl understood why Pluto wanted to kill Endymion. She noted that the guy might be one of the main characters in the story, but he was acting just like an old, snide woman. Almer confessed that although he respected them both as knights, he sympathized with Sir Endymion. Suddenly, jumping up sharply and drawing his dagger, Cupid rushed towards the princess, covering her with his own. The girl remembered what kind of person Cupid is. He looks gentle and completely innocent, but he's actually the ex-king of a group of thieves. He had a hard life before Athena brought him here. Cupid is ready to immediately sacrifice himself for the princess and mercilessly destroy the enemies. But this was not in the original, and the ignorance unnerved the girl. She didn't realize if she had brought her death closer by trying to change the storyline. Sitting near the door, Eugene assured that he hated Cupid. He displayed a magical recording device and informed them that this innocent heartthrob simply wanted to capture the touching reunion of the princess and Sir Cupid. Cupid asked the Chancellor how long he had been standing there. Eugene admitted that since the moment they started gossiping about Pluto. To be more precise, when the princess's inability to use magic was revealed. The maids ordered the Chancellor not to change the subject. They did not understand exactly what he was doing. The girl agreed with them. No matter how small she was, filming her surreptitiously was a violation of her privacy. Ira couldn't believe that the Chancellor wasn't going to share a video of their lovely princess with them, and Vita ordered him to immediately hand over the magical recording device. Cupid admitted that he thought it was strange. Eugene said he would attend Princess Luna's test, but he also wanted the guy to be the one to give her the egg. The girl didn't understand what they were about. Although the entries in the royal diary were very detailed, of course, some points had been left out. After all, if one wrote absolutely everything, one would end up with entries about eating and going to the toilet. Eugene noted that he had taught the princess magic because she said she wanted it, and had come to check her results. He had heard that the princess had been training for days and nights, so he expected a lot. Eugene warned that if she couldn't get the highest score on the test, she might not be a real princess. Impersonating a member of the royal family could get you a life sentence. The girl decided the maids were unexpectedly helpful when they ordered the Chancellor to cut the nonsense, but was immediately upset when they added that their princess was very intelligent and would definitely get the highest grade. Eugene warned that the princess would not be able to cheat by using magic items to tease the princess. He warned that if she didn't score 100 points, she was definitely a fake. Cupid ordered the Chancellor to stop teasing the princess. Eugene said that they would see each other in an hour. The girl remarked that she shouldn't be nervous. She should keep herself in control. After all, how difficult a test could be given to a 7-year-old child? A task appeared before the girl. A loop hangs from the ceiling of the ship, which is in a stationary state. A helium balloon lying on the floor is attached to it. Draw the position of the noose and the balloon at the moment of the ship's departure. There are no waves on the water. The sack is made with magic, so we don't pay attention to its mass. The girl decided that these medieval people were too clever with their level of development and technology. After thinking about it for a bit, the girl decided it wasn't that complicated. They touch on both magic and ordinary things, but these are the basic concepts of the dynamics. It's easy for a modern person. The girl could write Asterian with ease, probably because she was in Luna's body. Luna was smart enough for her age, but who knew she was on the level of a high school student? The girl was surprised that the crossed-out words disappeared, as if she hadn't written anything at all. It made her happy, because she had already started to plan what she would write next. It reminded her of a suspicious event that had happened a week before her death. She had spent too much on reedy books and was now broke. A girl was wondering where she could find comics about love and fiction for free. Unexpectedly, she received a text message saying that she had received a coupon for free reading of all chapters of the Royal Diary. At first, Jahi was really surprised by this, but then she decided that maybe it would be all free at first, and then they were like, "We know you're dying to read, so why don't you just open your wallet?" The girl figured she wouldn't fall for it, but her finger pressed yes on its own. She was right. There were only 10 chapters. But as she scrolled down, she noticed the rest of the chapters. Webtoons most often make the first season free to advertise the soon-to-be-released second season. The girl thought it was the same situation here, or they are advertising the author's new project. The writing style was unique. Just like the title said, it's like a diary. The coupon was too good to be true. The girl needed to be more suspicious. Athena's mother was the wicked Juno. She banished Queen Nyx and proudly took her place. Because she overthrew the previous queen, she was called the Witch. King Jupiter, faced with an extremely negative reaction to his desire to marry Juno, wanted her to bear him a son. She also gave birth to Athena, the witch's daughter. After giving birth to Athena, Queen Juno could not fully recover, and after numerous miscarriages, the cruel king executed her. Later, he sent Athena as far away as possible, not wanting to see even her shadow. He locked her up in a beggar's village that was far away from the castle, but then said he did it to protect her. When the girl got to that point, she thought that the king wanted to have a relationship with his daughter. But suddenly the author started a completely different branch of the plot. Athena's father made her lose all faith and trust in men, so she began to go through a series of suitors. Worse, King Jupiter was defeated and killed by a traitor named Deimos. The first season began with a sad story of a princess ignored by her father, abandoned alone in the countryside. A plot twist occurs when she avenges her father's death and defeats the tyrant Deimos. Both before and after the incident, she gets young men, and fulfills her desire to live a life of luxury in a reverse harem. At the time, she had given life to Princess Artemis. She never wrote about who her father was, as if she was worried that someone might read her diary. This story was pretty weird, but the girl was curious who the father was, so she decided to read the last chapter. All 4 sacred things have finally been prepared. Unfortunately, my death is inevitable. Humans cannot resist fate. This sentence signaled the end of the first season. The girl decided to read the first chapter of the second season, thinking that the author was greedy for money and thus agitating people to subscribe to get access to the second season. The girl marveled greatly when she read that the queen had been murdered. Now they were looking for the real father. Even though she had just flipped through the first season, she knew for sure that it didn't say who it was. However, there was a clue that said he was born with the blood of a rapist. As the girl flicked through a bit, she realized that the writing style had become completely different. The first season was a mess and full of plot holes, but the second season is pretty well put together and much better thought out. It's like someone else wrote it. She used to think it was just the author getting better, but now she finds it odd. The girl clicked on the last chapter as she was dying to know who the father was and how it would end. There it was reported that Princess Luna had been killed by the British Empire. The story was written in the first person all the time, so the girl didn't understand why it was suddenly here in the third person, and even with such an ending. Perhaps that was why it was free. Despite that, she went back to the beginning and read all the way to the end. For some reason, the girl had a feeling that she had to read the whole thing. Jahi tried to find something on her browser about the king's diary, but all to no avail. Not that she expected a prize for the work she'd done, but at least there had to be something on the subject. After a week of active reading and searching, Jahi died. She looked up and saw herself standing in the doorway. She decided that there was nothing like talking to herself when you wanted to get your thoughts in order. The girl wondered what was wrong. She noted that she must have a lot on her mind since she had called her here, since she didn't even like her. Jahi didn't understand why she was pestering her with questions when she already knew everything. She was her super self, her imaginary friend, simply put. The super self or super ego is one of the 3 components of the human psyche, along with the ego and the self, responsible for self-observation, conscience, and the formation of an individual's ideals. Jahi is a friendless orphan. She doesn't talk about her boyfriend at all, so when she needs someone to talk to, she of course talks to her imaginary friend. Jahi reminded herself that it was all in her head, and decided that she was probably the only such weirdo talking to herself. The girl pointed out that she wasn't talking to her because she liked it. Jahi pointed out that it's just the quickest way to clean up, and the girl gets along with her much better than everyone else. The girl knew she had created her herself, but she found it hard to be around her. She is a reflection of her mistakes and weaknesses. The girl made her cynical, self-centered, a lonely coward. We usually fool ourselves into believing that it is me who is always thinking. We try to suppress and forget some thoughts, but they always come rushing back out. The girl's first question was why she was reborn as the protagonist of the novella. Jahi replied that rebirth was not strange in itself. It is especially not strange to her since the girl had researched string theory for reincarnation. But she didn't understand why exactly in the novella. Everything a person creates originates from his past life in one way or another. The world of King's Diary could very realistically exist. Although it is difficult to describe subconscious memory in detail, the second season is spelled out very thoughtfully. But even if the author retained memories of events from her past life, it was still unclear why she was reborn as a local protagonist. Even if the royal diary exists and she was reborn in it, there was still the question of why the girl remembered her past life. According to her theory, the girl should have forgotten everything at the moment of her death. However, she never forgot anything. Given her abilities, she could remember a past life. Déjà vu is the feeling you get when something happens to you that has already happened to you in your past life. The girl suggested that it might be a type of déjà vu. The girl decided that it was possible to retain some memories on a subconscious level, but being able to retell everything in detail was already strange. It didn't explain why she didn't realize she was in this life until she was 5. Jahi agreed that it was a reasonable question, because rebirth began at birth. Jahi asked if this body had memories of the first 7 years of her life. The girl realized that she couldn't remember anything, although she must have all of Luna's memories. Jahi noted that the girl remembered the local language, for she had written in Asterian after all. This knowledge was firmly rooted in her body. All the information available to her about the princess came from her past life after reading the diary. The girl thought it was strange that even though she could remember her past life, she didn't have any memories from this one. If she had just been reborn, she would have all her memories. Jahi decided that was all they needed to find out. The girl admitted that there was still one thing left that bothered her the most. She might be a genius, but she couldn't figure it out. The girl thought Pluto was acting strange. He acts much nicer to her than he did in the original story. The only difference with the original was that the girl called him Daddy. Jahi admitted that the lunatic girl freaked her out. She suggested that maybe the girl had brought out the hidden daddy in him when she'd named him that. Deciding that they had already organized all the questions, Jahi suggested that they move on to the next point. They had to find 4 sacred objects. Based on the original story, these items were prepared by Queen Athena to stop the invading Britannians. When combined, they can create a powerful barrier. In the original novel, only 2 items were found, and even those were stolen by a spy right out of the royal palace. Asteria was destroyed by the Britannians, and Princess Luna was killed. Jahi noted that they were in trouble because the girl didn't read the part where they were looking for these sacred objects, thinking it was too boring. The girl noted how great the weather was outside the window. Jahi ordered her not to run away from reality. The girl assured herself that she was so focused on her favorite parts of the novella that she was now remembering a bunch of useless things. The girl assured that there was no reason to worry because she had a plan. Jahi suggested that she was thinking about finding the princess's real father. Luna died due to loss of mana. Unlike Athena, she had a unique type of magic. She must have received it from her father. Jahi noted that there was an item in the Empress's room that could be used to determine the type of mana. Jahi assumed it was the solution to all problems, but the girl already knew it wouldn't work. It's used to punish wannabe royalty who pretend to be members of the royal family. Those who don't belong to the royal family will immediately die. Royal blood determines with mana and has nothing to do with being born in Asteria. Even if someone with a foreign origin uses this item, they won't die if they belong to the royal family by blood. Jahi clarified that only those who are not immediate family members. She suggested telling the candidates that they are going to test them in this way to find out who Luna's father is. Whoever survives is the real father. If the girl could fool all 4 of them and get them to take the test, she could survive. It seemed unnecessary to her. All they had to do was find the 4 sacred objects and prevent the Britannian invasion. Jahi didn't understand what she was saying, because she'd said she'd do anything to survive. She thought the girl had got caught up in this silly game of family, but she didn't want to sacrifice other people's lives. Jahi noted that if that's what she really wanted, then perhaps this was where they would stop. She reminded herself that the girl had until her 12th birthday. Since the girl said she didn't want to sacrifice anyone, this method they will skip. The second way to survive was to find the 4 sacred items, but there was another one. The girl was surprised to find a third way. Jahi informed her that it was to become the very embodiment of cuteness. Then the devil she met on the battlefield would instantly fall before her cuteness. Finished putting her thoughts in order, the girl decided she needed to lock Jahi inside again. She had no need to listen to her further. She didn't understand why she wanted to sleep so badly. Sure, the girl hadn't rested since the egg hunt and the final dance, but using restorative magic after a sleepless night of banqueting is a royal tradition. The healer used healing magic on her this morning, so she shouldn't want to sleep. The girl realized that she couldn't resist. Laying her head on the table, she decided that nothing bad would happen if she rested a little. Opening the door, Eugene happily asked the princess how her test was. He was surprised to see that the girl had fallen asleep on the table. Eugene decided that the test must have been really boring since she had fallen asleep, even with the recovery magic. He thought it was normal for children to fall asleep during tests. The maids were already talking among themselves. It turned out that the chancellor had accidentally given the princess a test for top-level magicians, and she had solved it in 30 minutes. One of the girls assumed that the princess had just seen the answers somewhere, but she was assured that the assignments were kept secret, so the chancellor didn't write the answers anywhere. They simply do not exist in written form. The maids decided that the princess was some kind of genius. Suddenly, Endymion appeared and ordered them to tell them more about it. Elmer couldn't believe that the princess had got the highest score on the test for the highest mages. He knew she was smart, of course, but he hadn't thought she was that smart. The boy announced that Cupid could go. They were going to celebrate with the princess, just the 2 of them. Cupid was surprised to see Sir Endymion. Amor is the former commander of the homicide unit. However, there is no official hierarchy there, so Amor still sees Endymion as the boss. Endymion announced that he would be picking up the princess. Cupid asked him not to be so formal, but he warned that a spell had been used on the princess to prevent deception, so he couldn't take her anywhere right now. Luna can't leave the room until she says she's finished the test or until the time is up. Endymion noted that the Chancellor could take him down and wondered where Eugene was. Cupid admitted that Eugene was overexcited and went to tell everyone at the palace what had happened. Andy noted that it wouldn't be hard for him to sit with the princess until the time was up. Cupid informed him that there was no need for that, as she had already answered all the questions, but Endymion didn't listen to him. Seeing the sleeping princess, the boy decided that it was the cutest thing in the whole world. Endymion believed that no matter who her biological father was, without a doubt Luna was his daughter. He took off his jacket, carefully covering the princess with it. If the boy had killed the queen in the brothel, then, following the contract, he would never have met this marvelous girl. He would never forget the moment when the queen sprinkled her hands with blood for him. Endymion felt that everything that had ever happened before was leading up to this very moment. The clock that appeared informed him that there were only 5 minutes left until the end of the exam. The boy wished time would stand still. There were already whispers in the palace that the princess was a genius. One of the maids had heard that the girl could even surpass the great sage with her knowledge. Pluto didn't understand why he was going to see the princess. Like any man serving for the good of the empire, he should be happy that she was so gifted. But the man didn't know if such an ordinary knight had the right to congratulate her. Pluto recalled the words that while searching for items, the princess should evaluate them in order to choose an emperor. Pluto thought this was some kind of absurd game. He didn't understand how one could choose not just an emperor, but someone's father in such a way. The whole thing was doomed to failure, even when Endymion became a candidate. Pluto didn't understand why he was so unhappy to see the princess dancing with Hercules. At least he was able to ward off the princess from dancing with that vulgar Endymion. Pluto admitted that he didn't understand himself. When he noticed Endymion with the princess in his arms, the man was angry, wondering who had allowed the cesspit rat to touch the princess. Endymion laughed merrily. He said that he had been so courteous to Pluto all along, only because he respected the queen and her tender feelings for the man. And he had continued to behave that way after her death only because of their feelings of loyalty. Now that they were both candidates to be the princess's father, he had no reason to hold back any longer. It seemed Endymion needed to make Pluto disappear from the list of candidates forever. Ira decided that the princess was definitely cheating. Vita noted that she looked like she had a constant support of magical items. Maybe she had some sort of device that could look into the Chancellor's brain and read his thoughts. Hercules immediately declared that this was not true. He was sure that the princess was a genius, for he had seen her skills with his own eyes. Hercules confessed that he was not the one who found the secret egg. The princess had found it in the monster's nest thanks to her ingenuity. He noted that she didn't have the insight of a 7-year-old child, but of an adult. But Sir Hercules could not lie. Ira remembered how the queen had been furious when someone had decided to play a trick on her and made her wear that hideous dress. When the man had complimented her, it was absolutely obvious that he was lying. Myth appeared and confirmed that Hercules was telling the truth. The man noted that Luna was a special child. He reported that she tamed the chicks with such ease, as if anyone could do it. Myth also urged them to watch their words. He noted that if that man with the black hair had heard them, they would have been headless by now. Pluto suggested that the guy bear his sword and fight him. Endymion recalled that he'd called him a second-rate gigolo and pointed out that he didn't fight anyone. Especially annoying jerks like Pluto. The princess realized that the situation was getting out of control. In fact, she had been awake for a long time, but opening her eyes when this was happening was not an option at all. Clutching his sword, Pluto announced that he would kill the guy before the princess even woke up. The girl wanted to shout, "Don't you dare!" at him. Neither of them were supposed to die. Even if all the candidates join forces, it won't be enough to stop Britain. She would surely die. She decided that now was not the time to hesitate and take the risk. Deciding that even one moment of procrastination could lead to someone's death, the princess muttered that she loved her daddy, and Luna liked a good daddy. Endymion had tears in his eyes, but Pluto immediately assured him that the princess hadn't called him daddy. He saw no point in putting up with this foolishness and ordered the boy to disappear. The princess was surprised that Pluto had actually stopped because of what she had said. She decided that she had made up her mind. Endymion noted that the girl must be having a pleasant dream. Suddenly, an agitated Cupid appeared. Endymion didn't understand what had happened because the test was already over. He noted that the test was not the main problem now. Cupid admitted that he thought it was strange that Endymion had come to visit the princess. After all, he had an assassination order. Guy reported that the Chancellor had finally stopped bragging about the princess and had come to his senses. He's too worried about her. Endymion didn't understand how this idiot could want to make him give up his daughter and go kill someone. He didn't think it made sense. Pluto pointed out that the princess was not his daughter. Cupid said that the Chancellor is asking Endymion to do it because he can't handle it, and the guy is the commander of the assassination squad. Endymion agreed to let Cupid take the princess. Endymion asked to take care of his daughter and inquired about the target. Cupid replied that there were 10 men. He noted that they were quite experienced, but Andy could easily handle them. The guy's usually goofy appearance made it slip the girl's mind, but Endymion is the head of the Dark Knights who specialize in assassination. If Pluto's Blue Hawk Knights worked in the light of day for the Imperial family, the Dark Knights work in the night. More accurately, they might be called knights, but they use more than just swords to kill their targets. The girl decided that surely the queen had called Endymion to her bedroom for a reason. Cupid noted that Sir Pluto could leave, promising that he would deliver the princess. Pluto ordered the princess to be handed to him. Cupid was surprised that the man was going to carry her to her room himself, but Pluto only pointed out menacingly that he didn't like to repeat himself. Handing over the princess, Cupid asked him to try not to wake her up. Pluto admitted that he was amazed every time he took the girl in his arms. She is much heavier than she looks. Cupid noted that if the princess was heavy, he could carry her himself, but Pluto refused. The man wondered what that sudden chuckle was that came out of the boy's mouth. Cupid noted that the man still didn't seem to understand anything. For some reason, Pluto thought he heard a warm little chuckle in the corridor. As he laid the princess on the bed, Pluto noted that she looked exactly like a queen. Taking a chair, the man sat down next to the bed. The girl didn't realize when he was going to leave, because she couldn't sleep while he was staring at her. The girl noted that Pluto, the demon on the battlefield, was acting strange. In the story, they weren't even that close. Luna avoided Pluto because she was afraid of him, and he, in turn, was just fulfilling his nightly duties. Pluto finally signaled that he had to go and rose from his chair when the girl abruptly grabbed his finger, wheezing a joyful, "Daddy." She decided she had definitely lost her mind. The girl wanted to see if Pluto could really be a loving father. If so, it would be great for Luna's survival. The girl decided he was going to shake her off and leave. Pluto didn't realize what was wrong with her face. Despite the girl's misgivings, the man sat back down in his chair, allowing the princess to hold his finger further. Myth informed the maids that they could leave and ordered them to pass on his message if they met others like them on the way. Apologizing, the girls immediately hurried away. Myth reported that he already knew everything. Hercules assumed that dragons had such keen hearing, but the man only replied that he was just wondering how the princess was feeling, so he had stopped by to see her. Myth assured that he had seen everything with his own eyes. He remarked that he was incredible and Hercules could praise him. Dropping to the floor in front of the man, Myth asked what he was holding. Hercules admitted that he wanted to congratulate the princess, but he didn't have time to prepare something, so he put together a bouquet of wild flowers. He had thought the bouquet would be beautiful when he picked it, but now he thought it looked too shabby. Snapping his fingers, Myth assured him that the bouquet was not shabby at all. The man pointed out that people live in fractions of a second. Little things make them happy, and they treasure even the smallest things. Mythos confessed that he was envious of humans. He noted that what Hercules holds is very valuable, simply because it is small and fragile. Hercules was very touched, noting that the wisdom of a great dragon who had lived 1,000 years was incredible. Mythos smiled affectionately at this. Myth snapped his fingers again, and a luxurious bouquet appeared in his hands, which he was going to present to the princess. Watching the striding men, Veda noted that they were so cute. When they looked through the doorway, they saw Pluto sleeping peacefully on the edge of the bed. Ira noted that the man slept like a baby. He was just like a pet wolf cub. Sleepily, the girl opened her eyes and wondered how she had managed to fall asleep. She had no idea how much time had passed. The girl thought that maybe the recovery spell hadn't been effective. Come to think of it, she couldn't absorb the egg either. She decided that perhaps her magical abilities were affected by the fact that she wasn't a real Luna. The girl was very surprised to see Pluto sleeping next to her. She figured she had slept all day. She hoped Pluto wouldn't shred her into little pieces when she woke up. The girl noted that his hair was like the shiny fur of a black wolf, his long eyelashes and pale skin tone. In the novel, Pluto's dream was a bit of a flare. He must always be on the lookout in case an enemy suddenly attacked. The girl was surprised that Pluto was sleeping so soundly right now. His hair seemed so soft to her that Jahi couldn't stop herself from reaching for it. The man immediately jumped up sharply, grabbing the princess by the arm. Pluto immediately apologized for his rudeness, admitting that he wasn't used to sleeping like this. It was a great luxury for him. The princess assured him that it was fine, admitting that she wasn't used to being surrounded by people either. The princess immediately awkwardly corrected herself, noting that she meant that Mother was now in heaven, and suddenly surrounded by so many new fathers. The princess assured that there is no need to be afraid of appearing different. Mutual understanding is what family is all about. The girl asked to be called Luna, not Princess. The girl decided to take such a bold step, for now was a good time to test something. Pluto admitted that it was a great honor, but he noted that the discipline of an entire empire would crumble if a mere knight called the princess by her first name. The girl realized that this was a complete failure. Abruptly jumping to his feet and reflexively placing his hand on the hilt of his sword, Pluto admitted that he thought he could hear rats squelching outside the door. The door swung open sharply, sending the maids tumbling to the floor. Hercules couldn't believe that Pluto had actually thrown his sword at them. The maids immediately jumped to attention, saying that they had so much more to wash and polish. Hercules suggested that he and Mythos should run away too, but it was too late. Myth confessed that he saw Pluto in a different light. He did his best not to make his interest apparent, but at the same time began to show his paternal intentions. Hercules recognized that it was a great strategic move. The princess recognized the stone hovering near Myth as a recording device. The man confessed that at first he was just going to record his little girl, but suddenly he found the gloomy head of the knights unusually cute. When she saw Pluto reaching for his sword, the princess decided that it was time to change the subject before the carnage began. She asked Hercules what he was holding. Grekules was a little confused as he looked at his bouquet. Myth said that he had heard that the princess had got the highest score on the test, and so he brought his congratulations. The princess thanked the men cheerfully, surprised that and actually decided to have a party just because a small child had passed some test. Suddenly, several guys entered the room, carrying vases with huge bouquets. They left them in the room and hurried away. The girl didn't understand who they were and why they were carrying so many flowers. One of the guys reported that Commander Endymion had sent them. He is on a mission right now, but the commander really wanted to express his feelings with these beautiful flowers. The girl didn't understand why such a fuss had been raised just because she had taken some kind of children's test. Endymion was impressed that the princess thought it was a children's test. Endymion appeared and congratulated the princess on getting an excellent score on the test for high-level mages, passed in only 30 minutes. The boys were surprised, for they thought the commander was on a mission. Endymion reported that thinking about insects reduced the time he could spend with the princess, so he blew them away in seconds. Unsurprisingly, the task was a bit difficult as a 7-year-old. The girl decided that it must have made her suspicious. The men didn't understand how the princess did it. Endymion confessed that he was burning with curiosity. He wondered how the girl had learnt the answers, for no one had ever taught her. The princess awkwardly admitted that she had read about it in a book. The girl decided that it was a terrible explanation, and that now would be a good time to die. Hercules noted that the princess was able to remember so many things just by seeing them once, adding that Sir Pluto had the same photographic memory. Pluto wondered how a princess could have the same ability as him. Andy admitted that it was a big coincidence. The girl wondered if it was really a coincidence. The girl noted that not everyone was endowed with a photographic memory. Endymion didn't understand how they could compare the princess's genius abilities with this jerk's pathetic tricks. The girl didn't recall meeting such people in Korea. She couldn't be sure of that, though, since she had lost her memories shortly before her 7th birthday, after the collapse at the Kiwon department store. The girl reflected on the fact that she clearly remembered everything that had happened to her since she had become Luna, just like when she was Jae in her world. But the ability to remember everything is due to an anomaly in the brain. The girl couldn't transfer it with her into Luna's body. In other words, Luna originally had a phenomenal memory. The girl speculated that it might have been passed on genetically. Pluto admitted that there was something he couldn't say earlier, as the princess wanted to sleep. Previously, Her Majesty had instructed them to find 4 sacred objects. Pluto figured she must have had some reason for sending them on this mission. Endymion admitted that he had something to say to the princess, too. He suggested that they go on a picnic together and celebrate her achievement. It was nice and sunny today. Pluto noted that the queen had entrusted them with the important task of finding the 4 items. They needed to begin preparations immediately. Hercules agreed with the man, but they had not been told exactly where they were or what they were. Hercules asked if Sir Pluto knew anything about them. The man stated that he would find them himself by sheer force of will. The girl doubted that this was even possible. Myth decided that Pluto was being too hard on himself and noted that he needed to learn to relax. He suggested that the man go on a picnic with him. The girl wondered if Hercules was going to give her something. She noticed that the man was hiding something behind his back. Hercules immediately became embarrassed, answering that there was nothing. The man decided that they needed to concentrate on finding the 4 items. He agreed with Sir Pluto. Endymion suggested that they divide the roles and have the insects look for the sacred objects instead, while they went for a walk. The man wanted to hear Akim Gireo's opinion. The man noted that the princess was intelligent, but still a small child. He didn't mean to insult her, but to say that she had any right to choose the next emperor was over the top. The chancellor raised his hand, and after being allowed to speak, said that he believed that the princess was a genius such as the world had never seen. There was a murmur in the hall. Some confirmed that it was true. The palace was talking about the fact that the princess had solved the most difficult magic test in 30 minutes. They didn't understand how it was possible. Eugene admitted that he had made the test himself and had never written down the answers. Bishop Ealver noted that he had heard that it was the princess who found the hidden egg while playing with Easter eggs. Another reported that he had heard that she had tamed the evil Puili bird. Everyone knew that only a maiden with a noble heart could tame this evil creature. She was not only intelligent, but also good-hearted. The council recognized that the princess had all the necessary knowledge to choose an emperor. Then, conceding that they were right, but noting that you can't ignore the minority opinion, he asked what Ahiem thought about it. Ahiem admitted that he knew from the beginning that the princess had all the knowledge she needed to elect an emperor. Eugene noted that Sir Achium was also very wise. The man couldn't believe he meant it just now. Pothos had forgotten that the worm was trying to suck up to everyone, not just him. Luna announced that she wanted to go on a picnic. Endymion then suggested that the 4 of them go, and let Pluto look for sacred objects on his own. Myth snapped his fingers, noting that the princess should be in appropriate picnic attire, as would he himself. They indicated that they would be back soon and noted that they were leaving the search for sacred objects to Pluto. Endymion asked if the 2 of them needed to come with them. He insisted that they had better stay and help Sir Bitch. Myth suggested that Endymion stay and spend time with Sir Pluto. Myth wondered why Plauton had been playing the underdog all this time, but eventually went with them. The man assured that he had come only to guarantee the princess's safety. The princess ran happily down the path, smelling the pleasant scent of the flowers. Jahi suddenly appeared and wondered if she was enjoying herself too much. The girl knew why she had appeared so suddenly. She had tried so hard, but the original story hadn't changed at all. She was confused and wanted to put her thoughts in order. It was about time for Jahi to come out. The girl was aware of this, for they are one and the same. Her plan to escape before being drawn into the main storyline fails. Everything proceeds identically to the original story, from the death of the spy to Hercules' victory. Even that picnic. Of course, the girl went to this picnic on purpose, not by accident. To predict where the story is going, she needs to follow the original, albeit with minor changes. Hercules wondered what the princess was thinking so hard about. Jahi noted that he was perceptive. The man must have noticed that the girl was worried about something. The girl ordered Jahi to be silent. Crouching down in front of the princess, Hercules held out a flower to her, noting that she looked like this rose. People become happier just by looking at the princess. Hercules immediately started apologizing in a panic. He explained that he had 3 of the youngest in the family, so it was his habit to look after the others. Hercules realized that he was only a candidate for fathering the princess, but he admitted that he was happy to have the opportunity to spend time with her like this. Hercules noted that the others would be furious if they found out that he had followed the princess. The girl realized she was in trouble. It wasn't just a survival strategy, he was quite serious. Jahi thought that the girl wasn't going to seriously play with him either. After all, she once had a family, and the girl had lost it. The man noted that Sir Endymion scared him even more than usual. Frightened him now even more than usual. Endymion reported that compared to the princess, the roses were nothing but rubbish. In his opinion, there was only the one and only princess and rubbish in the world. If something is not a princess, it is rubbish. The girl wasn't quite sure yet whether Endymion was the most positive character, or the most anything but negative. Myth stated that he had no intention of playing along with both of them. Snapping his fingers, Myth declared that he had given the princess 10 times more flowers than them. In other words, he loves her 10 times more. Hercules pointed out that this wasn't fair. Endymion asked to be given a few seconds. In that time, he would get rid of that annoying lizard and give the princess 100 times more flowers. The girl decided that these jerks were going to destroy her beautiful garden. When she noticed Pluto approaching, she hoped he wasn't about to pick all the roses. She didn't understand why the hell he was staring at them so intimidatingly. Pluto reached for the flowers, but Endymion slapped him on the arm. The boy admitted that he was so sorry, it was all because of the insect.